Hey guys, welcome to Feature Creatures DTF. I am your host, Jordana, and I am joined by my amazing co host, Sam.
Hello.
Hello. So, tonight we have a special treat in store for you guys. We are talking about the most recent holiday we had, Valentine's Day. Sam and I are Grinches when it comes to Valentine's Day. I think it's absolutely bullshit. And so does Ripley.
Yeah.
But
Uh
everything about it, I have always been such a poopy doop about Valentine's Day, but oddly enough, I love a good rom com.
who doesn't love a good rom-com? So yes, I'm
Yes.
with you 100%. Here's the thing about it. And it's not like we're breaking news. It's almost like, cliche to be like it's just a Hallmark holiday, brother, like it's just like a greeting card holiday. Like everyone fucking knows what it is, but for some reason we as a country have decided to just be like, yeah, we know what it fucking is and we're still going to do it cuz we're all fucking dumb apes.
Yeah. And you know what? I think we should try to start a second Halloween. Kick out Valentine's Day and have it be like a winter um celebration of Halloween.
I say we demote Valentine's Day, and I think Day of the Dead should get a promotion. It should go up a level in how we celebrate it as a country.
I fully support that statement. I think that I understand like the gesture of it. Like we get our daughter something, you know what I mean? Like because obviously. But I think that if you can't be nice to your partner half of the year or the year, one day, like what the fuck is one day? And again, not knocking it. If you celebrate it, if you enjoy it, I'm happy for you. But I personally just despise it.
Agreed. Just not my thing at all.
No.
Yeah, and it's also just there's pressure that's put on you, the needless pressure that I feel like a lot all holidays for the most part have some sort of I think Halloween is kind of one where I'm like it's like the only holiday that I don't feel pressure on, and that might be because
Yes.
I like it, but I mean really you can do whatever you want. You can dress up if you want
Yeah.
to. Also, if you don't want to dress up and just want to go to a party with friends, you can. Nobody really cares that much, and there's not really any expectation put on you for Halloween. You can do whatever you want, but Valentine's Day, Christmas,
Thanksgiving.
even Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
to a lesser degree, but like there's a lot of pressure involved that can make it, an unpleasant experience. And then also just the obvious, that it's also just a reminder to certain people on, a days of something that maybe they want but they don't have, and it's just kind of a shitty day for them.
I totally agree. It's or like something happened, you know what I mean? And it's like a memory of it. I don't know. And back to like Halloween, you can celebrate the whole month. Like I throw out my decorations September like fucking 30th, like I'm ready. And I love that you can go to haunts and you can do stuff during the month of October leading up to Halloween. Valentine's Day, it's just like bleh. And it's sucky for the people that don't want to cook and want to get takeout because all the restaurants are packed.
Yeah, and like well, two things. I some Halloween decorations I've just made permanent fixtures in my house.
Yes.
Um,
Michael Myers is still on my window.
yeah, so
The
as he
other night
should be.
the other night we were coming home from okay, so I did kind of wow, I totally forgot about this. I kind of like did celebrate in a sense, but I did Galentine's Day.
Okay.
Obviously Leslie Knope kind of like coined that phrase and it was a lot of fun, but I had a lot of Molson and tequila and shenanigans with my girlfriend and we Ubered home and I told the driver cuz where we live, it's you don't really see our address. And I'm like, it's the one with Michael Myers. And he's like, what? There's like Michael in the window, and he's like, oh,
Is it like a decal, or is it like a fucking like a statue? What are we talking about here?
I wish it was a goddamn statue, but no, it's a decal on the window. So like for
Okay.
Christmas, I put because the windowsill ledge is like right here. I put a little hat on him.
A little hat. You should get some elf ears for him.
Yes, and I wanted to do like hearts around him for Valentine's Day and put like MM plus LS forever. Mike Myers plus Laurie Strode.
Oh, okay. I like how you could see on my face there was just like nothing behind it. I was just like, yep, whatever that means.
I was waiting for a smart ass remark from you because I didn't know if that was a smart ass remark face or if you didn't know what I was talking
That
about.
was the light was on, but nobody was home face. I was like, yeah, whatever that means, I'm good with it.
Sure. But no, he's gonna
Um,
stay up, and I have the same too. So cheers to that.
yeah. But as far as like Valentine's Day goes, like I said, if you want to celebrate it, that's fine. I'm not gonna be like, ooh, like I'm not like the Grinch of fucking Valentine's Day, or I'm gonna like run around and throw hot dogs at people on dates. Like, although that would be a good concept.
That would
Uh
be.
it's just I don't know. Like I have a friend, he's like, he just recently started dating this girl, and he's like, they've been on like 4 dates, and he's like, well, I gotta take her to a place. He's like, I want to go to like the fanciest place around. And I was like, okay. He's like, what's the best steakhouse that you know of in town? And I was like, well, this is the one I know of. And I'm like, but you're gonna spend like at minimum like $100 to $150 a plate there. And he's like, yeah, I need something like that to impress her. And I'm like, why do you need that? Like,
Like, and like, I want pizza. Like, get me a big New Yorker, get me some beer, and throw on some scary movies and call it a day.
I mean, that's exactly what I would want as well. And everybody's different, but I'm just like, like, why is
Yeah.
that like the expectation? Like, here's the thing, I can kind of get it if you're like already in like a committed relationship, but if you're like just dating and now these people are like, yeah, no, I like people trying to get a date for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I feel like they often put more into the holiday than like you and I who have been like long time had like partners.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're setting the bar so high.
Yeah, and then and then next year you can only fall. Like,
That's what I mean. Like, build up to the steakhouse that you're going to spend $200 or 200 or whatever, 150 a piece, and like start off at, I don't know, like not the Golden Corral, but someplace like mid level.
yeah, or like I would say, do it 2 days prior or after, and you'll save a bunch of fucking money and probably have a better time overall because it won't be as goddamn stressful.
Exactly. Or busy. Because that's the other thing too, is like, why would you want to leave the comfort of your own home if you want to spend time with someone? And again, like you say, to each their own, but and be in such a crowded restaurant and have like no sense of, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah, it's not, it's just not our thing. But
No.
that being said, I don't want to sound like just total Valentine's Day and romance. Like we're, it's not like we're like,
Thought
oh,
that.
the butterflies are dead inside. Like, uh,
Seriously.
my heart is black. Um, we do enjoy, both of us. I mean, I can speak for myself, but I know that we both enjoy a rom com, a romance movie, and movies around that involve that relationships and things like that. We're not total fucking buttholes.
No. Not fully like a half a butthole. But I love like the choices that I picked are very much in the same decade. So that says a lot about like how old I was and like what I took from it and what I go back to. You know what I mean? Because to be completely honest, I haven't really watched a rom com recently. I don't even really know of a rom com that's come out.
Well, it's funny you say that because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
But I'm looking at my list, and yeah, it's all in a. Hmm,
a range.
there's a pretty, with one exception, it's all within about a 15-year period.
Yeah.
Um, and that could just be like you said, what we saw at the right age. But I'm also in my head, I'm trying to go back and like, I just don't. I'm trying to think like, are rom coms even like successful anymore? Like
No,
comedies in general, like just don't get made anymore. Like,
they don't because you can't say anything. You can't do anything now without being under the microscope, being canceled, being labeled as something that you're not because it's for entertainment purposes. And I feel like we have had little to no comedies and we've had little to no rom-coms.
Yeah, and I feel like the ones that do get made now are just like there's no comedy to them anymore. They're just and they're super safe. Like,
Mhm.
there's no like I don't want to steal I don't want to say this if it's on your list, but like so no, I won't say it then.
Say it.
Well, like there's no like there's something about Mary's. That's at its heart, that is a rom com. That's a movie about a guy trying to date a girl that he's in love with, and crazy shit happens around them. I'm not
Yeah.
saying every movie needs to have a girl with jizz in her hair, but like, I'm just saying that, like, the last rom com that can remember going to theaters, and the
Yep.
last one for a long time was that dumb fucking movie with Owen Wilson at 55 years old falling in love with Jennifer Lopez, uh, based on a, a sign that he held in the audience. Did you remember this movie? This came out
Oh my.
like last Valentine's Day.
So I literally where did we see the preview for that? Maybe it was like the new Scream movie, and that played in front of it, and I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And I don't know if I said it out loud, if I thought it, and the couple we were with, they're like, "That looks good." I'm like,
That looked
"Oh."
so bad. Me and Deanna
Yep.
laughed our asses off at that trailer. Just the concept of it. Like, and then I was like, also, I'm looking at it and I'm like, is this like, are people too afraid to tell jokes anymore? That this is what we get. Now, this is the comedy that we get. It's just like a guy who's just like, I'm just a nice guy. Oh shucks. I would really like to be with that nice lady up there. Oh, someone gave me a sign. Comedy ensues because I'm a normal fucking guy and she's a big celebrity.
She's fucking
How
J
will it
Lo
how will it ever work? Like, I'm like, I didn't see one joke in the trailer. So
at
it's
all.
telling me that there's no jokes in so it's like a rom-com without the comedy, and it's not just a romance movie because it looks fucking dumb as shit.
So I'm looking now just to see like what the more recent movies have been, and there's Ticket to Paradise with 85-year-old George Clooney and Julie Roberts, which
Okay,
I'm
yeah. So
okay,
a
like
another geriatric fucking rom-com.
yeah, and it's like the G version of X. Like I don't want to think about old people having sex. Thank you very much. Like The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. Um,
I mean,
and then it just drops to 2011 and 10 with Just Go With It with Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler. I didn't even know that existed.
that and I think that's the one where they like go to Africa, and like also everybody made fun of that. Was kind of, I think, during like the dark times of Adam Sandler's career. He's come out of it.
Yes.
He's pulled the nose up, but there was like a 5 to 10 year stretch where he was just making some pretty fucking shitty movies, and that was one of them where they're like, I don't know, it felt like that episode of South Park where Cartman's Awesomeo and he's just pitching movie ideas, and every one of them has Adam Sandler. And what if like Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston went to Africa? Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Do it up right now.
Yeah.
And there's a sequel coming out too,
Of
I
that
think.
movie?
There's one with maybe not. They did another movie too, like
God, I hope it's they go to outer space.
A Netflix movie. They should go to Uranus.
Yeah.
But like, okay, too, there's You People with Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy. Did you see the previews for that?
I've not. Now I've heard that's pretty good.
Oh,
I haven't watched it, but I've heard it's good. My brother said it was pretty good. It was actually, I think it's rated R, so it might be
okay.
something we might. But I also heard that it was, if it wasn't written by, it was based on the fact that I think Jonah Hill in real life dated Ice Cube's daughter, and so like there was a lot of humor that I don't know if he wrote the movie or had input on it, but it kind of came from his experience. And I'm like, I love Jonah Hill. He made some great movies. Eddie Murphy used to make great movies. I don't know what the fuck happened there,
Yeah, I
but
know.
he just started turning out shit for 20 years. But yeah,
Because I feel like at that point he's already like hit that, that monumental success. So it's like, okay, now I can just literally put my name on something and I'll make money and I don't care the quality.
yeah, just coast.
Yeah, and that's the problem is coasting. Like we need people that are willing to like take a risk on putting out another fucking Knocked Up or putting out another, you know, Zach and Mary make a porno. something, I'm sorry if that's, I didn't mean to drop those in case they're like on our
No,
list,
no. Great. I
but
mean, I love both those movies, but
you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like we need that in our lives because we have
to
nothing. And
me, comedy is pretty like comedy movies for the most part are to me are just largely not. It's like I don't. It's not like all I want to watch is horror movies for the most part. I mean, it is. It's like my go to genre, but
yeah,
it's also like because they don't make comedy movies anymore. And I know that a lot of people love like Marvel and superhero movies, but they barely make like big scale action movies anymore because all the goddamn money goes towards fucking Spider-Man and his underwear friends. Like and
and
by the way, and just a side note, I want
yes,
to get some internet hate here. I'm so fucking happy, and I don't care. All you Marvel fucking freaks can go fuck off. I am so fucking glad that Ant-Man 3 has like a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. God, let's bring it. Let's end the MCU. I'm ready for it to end.
so okay, with that being said, Greg is really excited to see that this weekend. And
Oh,
I'm like,
it's gonna make a shit ton of money, and it ain't gonna make a dip. It could be Ant-Man farting on a fucking drum for an hour, and people are gonna go see it.
I would pay money to see Paul Rudd fart in a drum. I would, because that would be so goddamn. There was a video of him with it talking about a beanie, and I thought that was like super entertaining. And it's like a minute video. But okay, so the dude from the producer from Terrifier 2 posted about Marvel today, saying, and it was like the Marvel Universe poster, and he said, Marvel was at its peak and prime back in the day, and now it's just pretty much like he was saying they're pumping out garbage. And it's true because they went from quality to quantity.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember
Eh,
back, I never was into like comic books or that type of stuff when I met Greg. That's when like Iron Man was coming out with its movies, Captain America, and it was transitioning into the Avengers. And watching them then, it was exciting. And then you'd get at the end of the movie the teaser clip, and then you'd get Avengers will be back in 2 years. And you're like, fuck, at the end of it, people would be screaming. And I remember like the excitement on his face. And when it came out, I was so excited to see it. It was emotional. Now it's just like every fucking 2 months, there's a new show, there's a new movie, there's a new cartoon. It's like,
oh yeah, but if you don't watch all of them, then you won't understand everything that happens. And it's like I don't like maybe I just want to watch one fucking movie. Like maybe
right.
I'm not like maybe I don't give a shit about Ant-Man. Maybe I'm waiting for it
Yeah.
bothers me. And then like just the sheer like how long this has been going on. Like okay, so Blade was the first successful comic book movie, I think. Well, besides Superman and Batman. All right,
Right.
okay, dumb comment, dumb comment. Blade was the first successful Marvel movie
Yeah.
because Batman and Superman were doing good. They made Blade. It kind of was its own thing. X-Men came out in 2000, was a big hit. Then Spider-Man came out 2 years later and was a gigantic hit. And then it's been nothing but superhero movies ever since. It's been 23 fucking years of superhero movies. How can you people not be satiated enough? And it's grown men who are like, yay, I get to see Spider-Man and Uncle Ben. There I haven't seen him die 400 times already. And I'm like, just could we watch something else?
And like casting Spider-Man, how many times? Like it just needs to be like, I don't want to say like a one and done, but go, if you're going to do a storyline, just kind of do it. Don't remake it. Don't add a new person. Like, let's go.
Yeah, and it's just and like I don't know, like we got a Christmas special for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Who? Come on,
We
like
watched it and it was ridiculous because at the end of it, we were like, the first Guardians is amazing. And I don't know, I love it. But when we all watched it afterwards, we're like, what did we just watch? And like She-Hulk, I couldn't even fucking watch it. Like he's like, do you even want to watch an episode? I'm like, no, because it just was not entertaining. It was like a bad not chick flick, but like a teen show.
yeah, I have never watched a single one of the MCU TV shows, and like I said, I think I'm just done with the MCU. I
Yeah,
will admit,
fair.
I will cave in 2026. Just to be fair, I will cave when the X-Men movie comes out. that'll be my own little hypocrisy. But other than that, I think I'm just done. I don't care. I don't give a shit about any of these D level superheroes that we're on. I'm like, I just don't give a fuck. That's
That's
my
fair.
thing.
Yeah, no,
And
that's fair.
I get. I just want to say I get awfully tired of all of this, and when I'm tired, I can use some energy. So you should check out our new sponsor, W Energy.
Yeah.
If you go to wenergy.com and use the code Feature Creatures, you'll get yourself 10% off of your order. It helps
Yes.
the show out, and you can get they have all kinds of cups, which I have mine on the way. They have all kinds of energy powders. It's way cheaper than like buying 48 cans of Red Bull a week.
Yep.
Just something, if you want to help the show out, they're our first sponsor, but it is W Energy. Use code Feature Creatures for 10% off.
Hell yes.
All right, now that we've ranted about superheroes for 20 minutes, do you want to actually
Yes, let's do it. And I think that the best way to do it, so we can kind of like focus on our tops, let's do our honorable mentions. Let's see if we can like um you know, because I already have like six more that I want to add in my head. So I feel like we should
Okay. All right.
do that.
I'm fine with that. And I don't really know if the legitimacy of my order here, but we're gonna go with. I will say off the top of my head, I'm not gonna talk about it because I already went deep into it on the last episode.
Mhm.
But Say Anything, the movie with John Cusack, it would be my number one on this list. But I already talked about it last week, so not gonna do that again. So just kind of nixing that one right away.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Well,
it's a great choice for a rom-com. Like immediately that's what you think of.
yeah, I think more romance than comedy on that one, but it's just
Yes.
it is my favorite romance movie. And we talked about it last week, so no real. If you want to hear about my thoughts on Say Anything, go listen to the last week's episode, and that's that.
Yes. So why
won't
don't you
be the only time John Cusack will be talked about today, though. So don't you worry, Cusack
oh
freaks.
oh.
Uh,
I think I know which one. Well, no, I don't. But why don't you go and do your first honorable mention?
All right, my first honorable mention is the one I was referring to off air. I attacked this from a different because we don't have a lot of contact about what these exactly mean. So
Right.
I looked at this as a list of either romance movies centered around the holiday Valentine's Day, or rom-coms in general. It's just anything that has that theme to it. And this first one is fucking nuts. Have you ever seen Cemetery Man?
No, I have
Okay,
not.
I am going to pull up this image here for you so you can understand what I'm talking about.
Oh.
This is Cemetery Man. It is from the 80s. It looks like it's from the 40s with the poster.
That
Uh,
tagline is fucking amazing. Zombies, guns, and sex. Oh my.
Yes, it's also It's if you ever come across it, it's an Italian movie. It's also known as De la Morte de la Morte.
Hmm.
It is got Rupert Everett, who very good actor. Most people probably weirdly know him as the guy chasing around Dunstan, and Dunstan checks in.
Oh my god, I love that movie.
Yeah.
I do.
um, but it is a story of a man. He works in a cemetery at night. He's the groundskeeper, but after 7 days, he says some of the dead wake up and walk around, and his job is as the cemetery keeper is to put a bullet in their head and put them back in the ground.
Wow.
And it's one of the, and then there's like this whole like romance is heavily involved because Rupert Everett he falls in love with this woman, and she sees this woman in like her face in different characters. Like, spoiler alert, she dies, and then like she's like other characters in the movie are played by the same actress. It's he's a fucking psycho in the movie, and like it's just like there's just murder and shit happening everywhere. It's one of those crazy Italian movies that I think you might dig, but it's also one of those movies that makes no fucking sense. You watch it and you're like, what is happening and why is this even like you're the end, you don't come out of it like, well, that was a coherent thought. But
You're
I
just like,
also was
whoa.
like, I'm not angry at it. Like it held my attention from beginning to end.
Well, I wrote it down and I'm gonna look for it because I would love to see that. I love non-coherent movies with violence and madness, so
I think
that's
you
up my
dig it.
alley.
I mean, there's a scene in the movie where a dude is begging to have his penis chopped off. So like, just
Oh,
if that sounds like your thing,
I mean,
Happy Valentine's Day.
I love the just the tip part in Terrifier too, so that probably is up my
Yeah,
alley.
the old.
Yeah.
So that's my off the wall kind of crazy pick. I have two on here, but actually, I think only one. The other one I think is justified. All right, Jordana, what is one of your honorable mentions?
So I'll start from the bottom, even though like it was so hard to rank them because I love them all, but I really had to think about like my tops. But I picked Scott Pilgrim versus the World
Oh, hell yeah.
just because like okay, Michael Cera, Brie Larson, oh my God, Mary, what's her name? Mary
Mary
Elizabeth
Elizabeth Winstead.
Winstead.
Winstead, yeah.
Yep. Jason Schwartzman, like amazing cast,
Chris
awesome music.
Evans.
Chris, Captain America himself.
Mhm.
I just love, you know, the romance part of it and like what he goes through trying to kill the seven lovers and the music and the way it was shot. It's just so perfect. And I have such a soft spot for Michael Cera. Like I wanted to put Juno on the list
Mhm.
and I didn't because there's other ones that topped it, but I could watch that movie all the time. I love it. It's such a good movie.
It's absolute. I love that movie, and I'm actually kind of mad at myself for not picking it. Um, so the book series, I actually like. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm attached to this, I was
Yeah.
going to jump up and because I'm staring right at him on my shelf right behind. I have
Ah,
the entire collection over there. I wanted to be like, look, look, look.
look what I
Uh,
got. That's amazing though.
yeah,
That's cool.
it's one of my favorite. I won't call it like one of my favorite books because it's a comic book. Like, I don't know, whatever the thing
Yeah.
is, but I'm sorry, it's a visual novel. But it is one of my favorite series, and
Mhm.
while the movie isn't quite what the series is, like the book's better,
Yep.
it just always is. It does such a good job of just giving you that feeling that you get
Yes.
when you read the book, and then just really hyping up like that hyper video game style. So much fun.
I love it. And that's I think because that's such a big part of like I love video games. So I think that aspect with like the music part and just how Aubrey Plaza, I mean, it's just
Ooh,
it's
I, I loved what's his name too. So, even the side characters were just perfect in that perfectly cast. Oh my God, what's his name? Home Alone's little brother.
Cult,
Rory Culkin, I think.
yes, he was
Yeah,
yes. I
he's
love
fucking
him.
great in that fucking movie, and he was my favorite character in the book too. So and while he's a much smaller character in the movie, he
Yeah.
fucking nailed it. It was great.
I feel like he is a smaller character, but I feel like when he was on screen, his presence was like one of the bigger ones. So I totally agree. Like I love that movie. And I had to put it on there because I was like, I was trying to think outside the box because I immediately went to like rom-com, like my top, what I would throw on. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm doing this one.
And I think it's an excellent pick. I'm not
Thank
as
you.
big on Michael Cera as you are. Um, that so I like Michael Cera, but the my issue with Michael Cera is that Michael Cera is really good at playing Michael Cera. like
That I just feel like that's exactly how he is.
like and nothing against him. It's exactly how I feel like he is. But I mean, like, it's kind of like how like The Rock is not a great actor. The Rock is good at playing The Rock. It's just,
Right.
where are you going to put The Rock in? Oh, this is The Rock's in the jungle in this movie. Oh, this movie he's in the ocean. In this movie he's on Mars. It's just, I feel like that's Michael Cera. It's just, like he's
The
just
band
that.
guy. That quiet band guy.
nerdy, anxious, which I can relate to a lot. But like the same character, like he's great in what that. Well, is he on any other movies?
He there's the other one. I think it's Nick and
Nick and
Mary make.
Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Yes, and I love that one, even though it's like ridiculous. But that one, I love him. And you're right too. Now it's like it's always the same dude, and then Juno. But my favorite, my favorite role that he ever played in
Probably This Is the End.
himself, and this is the end when he was all coked up and he fucking slapped Rihanna's ass.
Oh yeah,
He's getting a fucking blowjob, and he's just like, "You want some coke?" I was like, "What the fuck?" Like that movie is one of my all-time favorite movies in general and comedies, but I don't know.
He's great. Well, because it was so like the opposite. It's like the one role where he got to play something that wasn't Michael Cera.
Yeah.
He got to be Michael Cera on coke. Like it was really funny.
I love it.
I'll tie into Michael Cera. So I have an actor who I think very much, for my next pick, is very much like Michael Cera, but I think just a notch above in his range.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes.
And I love the movie Adventureland.
I've seen that. Yeah. But I don't remember it very much.
So Adventureland is, very quickly, it's him and Kristen Stewart and Ryan Reynolds, and there's and Bill Hader. And basically you're going to notice a theme here. A lot of these are a little bit darker, they're not just like bubblegum romance movies. Basically it's about just a summer job that they all have at this amusement park, and Jesse Eisenberg falls in love with Kristen Stewart, and then it's like they're ups and downs and cheating, and like it's not exactly a happy story for a good portion of it. Yeah. But it's more of a realistic look at how a relationship can be, and it's just really funny and ultimately very, very sweet. But it's more real. Like
it's not the cheesed up version of what love is supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, like because realistically, probably there is the scene at the end where he's standing in the fucking rain, and like it doesn't avoid all of those, but it's just it's a little more based in reality, a little darker, and then I just very much enjoy the I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like a Dazed and Confused, because a lot of it's just about like teenage, like I think they're college kids at this point. I think they're like all in college, like freshmen, and like a lot of it's just them hanging out at the park, trying to get drunk or high, or like just being teenagers, and they're 20-something-year-old, like and I just sometimes it's just fun to watch that and remember like being like that and how dumb we were and how fun it was.
I miss that. I think that's why I love watching these movies, is because it reminds me of those times.
Absolutely. Yeah, times that we'll never get back.
Ever.
So I'm gonna pick that one, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, ever since Jesse Eisenberg played Lex Luthor, like for some reason, like some nerds out there have just been like, fuck him, and I'm like, all right, man, I'm not saying he was a great Lex Luthor, but I just think he has he has a little bit more of a range. I feel like, I don't know, I think he was in movies that were like nominated for Academy Awards and shit, while I think Michael Cera, his counterpart, wasn't, just plainly said.
And to be fair too, like it's DC, you know what I mean? Like it's Lex Luthor. I didn't think he was that bad. And
he was barely in the movie. He was in the movie for like 15 fucking minutes.
But that's what I mean. And like when he did, I was like, well, I don't really see. And then of course it's like, well, and I'm like, okay, but from a standpoint of, I don't know what the fuck to compare it to in DC. Like I didn't think he was that bad.
Yeah, no. And like the fact that fans hated him so much in that movie, which I'm like, he was in the movie for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And we never got the follow-up. The follow-up, obviously there was plans somewhere down the line to make Lex Luthor like a major villain, but I'm like, so you never even got to see him like be the big baddie, and you're like, he fucking sucked. I'm like, he was in the movie for like 2 scenes.
And that's what you gave him. Like if you wanted to build it up, you should have given him more of a chance. So I'm with you.
I'm with you too, except that I'm done with superhero movies. I've said that earlier, so fuck him for that movie too.
I don't like DC, so fuck DC.
Oh, see, I'm a DC person overall.
Yeah.
Because I am here's the thing. That's it. I am a comic book fan. I just am
Right.
tired of the movies. Like I like the animated movies and I like reading the comics. I actually have 2 DC tattoos.
Okay,
So
and let me clarify that. I don't like their movies. I don't there was no buildup. Like I love how we find the most random tangent throughout our episodes, and this one's MCU like comics, but I feel like MCU built the characters like the early stages because that's what I loved.
oh, very clearly, yeah.
And like the and see this is where I'm gonna fuck up and people are gonna be like, you don't even know what you're talking about, but the
Well, fuck
prior
those people. Who cares?
DC and it was like Christian Bale, right? He was in
Yes, you're talking like the Christopher Nolan like movies.
yes, and those were good, but I feel like and like Superman wasn't bad, but I feel like what's all them Justice League, right?
No, it was a disaster.
Yeah, and then Greg's like, well, let's watch the extended version. I'm like, so I can waste another half an hour onto my fucking time.
It is better, but oh, you're half an hour? No, no, no. You're
How much
talking
was it?
like oh, it's a 3 hour long movie.
I mean, yes. I
Actually, it
didn't
might be closer to 4 now that I think about it. Ah, whatever.
really,
It's
but
long, but it's better.
yes,
It is better. But it's still, it's how much can you polish a turd?
that's what I mean. Like it is what it is. So
I I like DC. At least some of their movies really stand out to me. To be clear, I really like the first Wonder Woman. The second one is one of the most laughably bad movies I've ever seen. But the
yeah,
first
I
Wonder
agree.
Woman I thought was great. I
Yep,
really like James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
yep.
And then like the Burton movies were fucking great. But obviously that's like old school shit.
It's like I mean, Batman Forever. Did he do that one?
Burton did Batman, and then he did Batman Returns,
Oh,
and then
well,
Batman Forever was Joel Schumacher, and so was Batman. Whatever the next one was, where with Arnold running around in a fucking blue diaper.
and Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, when we do our guilty pleasure episode, like Batman Forever is one of my favorites. I loved Tommy Lee Jones as Two Face, Jim Carrey's Riddler. I fucking love that movie. Anyway,
When I was a kid, that was my favorite Batman, actually. Just because as a kid, I was like, Jim Carrey's fucking great. Like, what are you talking?
yes,
Like, and I think that one's a little more well received. I think it's the Arnold Schwarzenegger one that people, which is so much fun to laugh at. But
it is. And I was bummed because I love Alicia Silverstone. And I was
mhm.
like, yes. And then when she was in it, it was so goddamn horrible. I was like, I don't know about this one. But Batman Forever, oh, I want to watch it.
It's got Val Kilmer as Batman in that one too, and you know that I love me some Val Kilmer.
He was a great Batman.
I thought he was good. I mean, a very good Bruce Wayne too.
Yes.
But either way, that's God. We keep coming back to this. I'm gonna label this episode like Valentine's Day and comics
Comic
suck.
books.
Yeah.
Yes. We should have like them like lingering above the screen, like Batman flying and like Iron Man swooping in.
Yeah, in a big heart.
Yeah. Yes. Very fitting.
I believe that would send it to you.
Yes. So mine is a little bit obscure and it's a little bit, I mean, there is a love element to it, but I picked Out Cold.
I
Um,
love Out Cold.
we talked about it before, but I just loved like the premise of it, like meeting, the guy that's coming in to take over the little ski lodge, and then she returns, and like his best friend's in love with him, and they end up together, and like the whole Zach Galifianakis scene where they fucking put him in the car and spin it when he's drunk.
Oh, it's
It's one of the best scenes ever.
I mean, there's so many good things about Out. So first of all, Out Cold is like a thing that I miss about movies, and what I like.
Yes.
I miss the like. There was like almost a tradition that every couple years you had to have kind of a cheesy, bad but fun party like ski movie. There was all kinds of them in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
and then this was really the last one. It's killing me here because I'm trying to find an image of it to throw up because I know that nobody's gonna know what this fucking movie is. So we're talking. There's gonna be a shit ton of people who are like, "What the fuck are they talking about?"
And
Like,
it makes me so goddamn sad because it's some of the best casting. It's the dude from Reno 911.
yeah,
Um, I can't think of his name, and then it's what's his name from all the
Tom
Anchor.
Lennon, Tom Lennon,
Yeah, an
and
Anchorman.
uh, Dave Keckner, Lee Majors is the villain.
Silvstedt. What's her, Victoria
Victoria
Silvstedt?
Silvstedt.
Yep. And it's just
Um,
like it's done so well.
Oh, it's great, and it's so funny too. Really, this was the movie that I think introduced a lot of the world to Zach Galifianakis. For me, I maybe had seen his stand-up specials at this point. I can't really say for certain if I had, but
Yeah.
I mean, he was on my radar and like all my friends' radars when this movie came out.
Yeah.
God, I cannot. Oh, and then also just as a fun side note. I'm a huge Criminal Minds fans, and AJ Cook, who is the my favorite character from that show,
Yeah.
is the lead love interest. So I enjoy that. I cannot find I can get a picture, but I can't find the one that'll blow up, and
Damn.
this format sucks. Oh, and then also, did you know this about Out Cold? Just because I am I weirdly really love this movie.
Yeah.
Did you know that all that they wrote it? It's just a retelling of Casablanca.
Really?
Yes, it is like it is basically okay, there we go. Yeah. It is that is out for you viewers. Out Cold is on the left. Uh,
Yeah. No, that's Zach
um
Galifianakis right there.
yeah, and it is just a retelling of Casablanca in its core story elements of the girl, she might be moving away or, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they just, they basically just rewrote Casablanca as a ski comedy, and it's fucking great.
It's perfection. And that's so funny that they like did that because you wouldn't think that.
Yeah. And it's all in what God, who's the real the real stoner guy who like never was in another movie again that I saw.
The little
Pigpen in
dude,
that movie. Pigpen.
Pigpen. I fucking love Pigpen. And I love when they're doing the car spinning thing at the end and they're all like, huh. And he's just kind of Zach Galifianakis is just sitting there and he starts fucking cracking up and he slams his head on the fucking wheel. You just
Oh,
yell, yeah.
there's also God, just the cast is stacked in that movie for being like an largely unknown comedy. Like, I mean, it's got one of the London brothers. I don't know which one. One of them likes to
Jeremy.
drink. One of them likes to drink. One of them likes to do drugs. So
Yeah.
I don't know pick which one it is. Uh, and then, but like the bartender, is famously from The Office. He's Roy from The Office. He's been in some other shit. Like he was the dad in Brightburn.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And I love I remember Lance, and he's like the clearly like gay bartender who like they all know he's gay, but he won't admit it. And
And he's like, what?
I just I just
It's,
remember I just love it because like when he finally comes out and they're all like, yeah, we
we know.
know. And then he's like trying to front, and they're like, hey man, you could be gay, and he's like, I love men, and then they're like, well, maybe tone it down just a little bit.
I love it. And the hot tub scene with Zach
when he fucks the jet.
Like that's what I'm talking about. That's the type of shit that I want to see is some sort of masturbating act like American Pie. Like let's get it.
If you don't think I'm clipping that right there, that's what I want to see. Some sort of quote unquote Jordana from Pretty Killer Podcast, a masturbating act in a movie.
I wanted to say
I need more of that in movies.
I correct. Do you see it click in my head? I'm like, I'm gonna correct that. I'm not gonna say what
I hope you saw it in my eyes. I'm like, I'm not letting that go. I'm not letting that slide.
But that's one thing I want to bring back. More pies, more jet holes, porkies. I mean, I know that nothing happened, but like, I don't know. Like, that's funny.
It's super funny and super fun, and largely, I mean, as far as I remember, innocent and not problematic that I can think of in any way, but who the fuck knows? They'll find something wrong with it. I mean, what
Yeah.
about maybe the bear licked his nuts, so that the bear didn't consent
That's
to that, or
it's animal cruelty. It's like
yeah,
they're butterballs.
yeah.
Like, come on.
For people who hadn't seen it, just go see it. If you miss good old dumb fun comedies, and if you're into sports at all, they have like a lot of really famous snowboarders doing tricks in for them. What about their one friend who can't snowboard, and I think he's trying to ski, if I'm correct, at the end, and he just basically keeps falling down the mountain.
You have to watch it. If you have not watched it, I guarantee you will laugh. So you have to watch it.
Yeah,
Stamp.
you will
We need
definitely
like
laugh.
we need like a logo, like a stamp of approval, and we need to just like pop it up when we have a joint movie that we love.
Well, I could probably pull something like that together. The
Yeah.
Jam stamp of approval.
Jam. Oh, I like that. We could work with that.
I think we could make it work.
So now, what is your next honorable mention?
Kind of going in the same realm, to be honest. And I was like, it's not. Is it a romance movie? No, but it's funny and it has romantic elements. I think the best in the whole franchise. I think American Pie 2 is the funniest one. And I love American Pie 2. I love all of them. The spin-offs can go fuck themselves, but the primary series I love.
Yes, and I just watched that recently, and I love that movie.
Yeah, 2 is, I think, a little sweeter than the first one. The first one is just pretty much straight horniness, minus Oz's character, Chris Klein's character.
Yes.
But they added like a sweeter element to this. First of all, I think it's the funniest. It's just so funny. Like, I mean, the whole scene where the girls are fucking with them while everyone's listening on the radio.
Yeah.
And you got the dad with like the two walkie talkies, and she's like, honey, come eat. And he's like, I'm not hungry.
I laughed so hard at that part. And the kids are like,
and then I'm touching his ass. I'm touching his ass. I'm touching his ass. I'm touching his ass.
Oh my God, I love it.
Such a good fucking a comedy movie. It's just so funny. But then there's this really sweet level side of it too that they added that I think balances it out more so than the first one, where Jim thinks he's going to finally get his redemption from the first movie and have sex with Nadia, the really attractive exchange student. And then he realizes when he's given that opportunity, like the whole movie, the girl from the first movie, the band geek, Michelle, she's training him how to get Nadia, and then he falls in love with her. And the scene at the end when he shows up at her band thing and is playing the trumpet.
Yeah.
and he hits that dude in the face with the fucking thing. He's like, I'm a very special boy. Boom.
Petey.
Yeah. So there's a level of sweetness to it, and it's just but it's sweet yet also really, really funny. And I'm like, why can't we have some movies like that again?
It's perfect though, because it's like they added that connection. Like, you obviously were engaged in the first one because whatever reasons, like when that came out, and then this one is just, you see Michelle fall in love with him, and Stifler gets to hook up with or Finch gets to hook up with Stifler's mom again. It's like a great ending.
Yeah, it's really good. And I the franchise as a whole, I could honestly put up there because, again, excluding the shitty side ones, and I'm also very excited that they're making another one. So I'm excited for that.
I'm here for that.
Which I'm like, oh God, I hope they don't puss out. They have to do it. Like, if you're gonna make an American Pie movie, it needs to be kind of dirty. Like, it needs to be. It can't be afraid to step on some toes.
Maybe this will be like our bringing back to life the comedies, because we always talk about this, and maybe they're just like, we've had it, we need to make more.
So here's the thing. I think that and not to be like too like, I'm not going to be like, oh, like on my soapbox here. I think the reality of it is this: the majority of people aren't offended by comedy and the things that happen in those movies and and they miss that thing. there is a small percentage of people who just are offended by everything and are looking for a reason to be upset and
Yeah.
can't take a joke and can't, it's like, just, eventually I think there's going to be if you make these movies, they will make money. Now, granted,
Right.
whether or not critics with their nose up their own ass are going to give them good reviews is one thing, but I think that if you make movies like this again, the people will show up and the box office will speak for itself.
You'll have the people like us who grew up with these movies going to see them. You're going to have the younger generation curious. They're going to go see them. You know what I mean? Like, I think the problem is too, is there's so much like realism. There's so much like this has such a serious tone. And again, like I watch movies to escape reality. Like I watch these for entertainment purposes. I don't do it because I want it to be like mimicking exact real life.
Yeah,
Like with
no.
with horror, you know what I mean? Like I want to see Frankenhooker. I want to see some hooker that you know what I mean? I don't want to.
Because you watch movies to be entertained and have fun and not, I don't know what, just, I don't, even if I see something that I'm like personally like, I don't think I really like that. I'm not like, it shouldn't exist. I'm like, well,
Right.
no, just not for me.
I'm not going to watch it, but like you said, it'll make money. It'll produce and it'll be good for us. So
You can't tell. So here's the thing I would say. I almost feel bad for like, think about like 10 to, I mean, I don't know how I was allowed to watch what I never had any restrictions on what I could watch, but like,
I didn't
so
either.
I don't know, my ages might be wrong here, but I would say like 10 to 16-year-olds, even 17-year-olds. Like, I'm like, what comedies do they have to really like watch? Like they grew up watching High School Musical.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine, it's not a bad movie, but I'm just like, you're telling me that if they made a type of movie like American Pie, I'm sorry, a dude fucking a pie will always be funny to a teenager. I am sorry, it just will be. It's funny to me as a man in his 30s. Like,
Exactly. And like case in point, I showed my daughter. Well, I wanted to watch Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, and we watched it. And I think of it like back in the day. Maybe I didn't understand some of the jokes because they were a little bit more aimed for the older age people. But like she laughed at the peanut part on the plane.
oh, the
When he's like, no, when she's like peanut and he's like, hmm? And she's like peanut and he's like, yes, I have right here. It's heavy and I consider it carry on. And
oh,
remember when he says that? And when she said peanut and he made the face Roz's, or my kid was like, oh, and I knew that she got it. You know what like it's ridiculous because you'll laugh at some things, you'll get some things, and you won't. And I don't think that I don't know. I just don't think it's a bad thing. I don't know.
no, I think there's a reason why when if you go to the comedy section on like these streaming services and you look at most
Mhm.
popular, yeah, there'll be whatever newest thing is it's out, but a lot of them are like fucking movies from the 90s and 2000s and 80s, and I'm like, it's not because I think that it's just like they were more talented back then. I just think that the movie studios weren't as restrictive and giant pussies and
Yes.
and
Yes.
afraid to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm thankful that, because South Park's one of my all-time favorite shows. I'm just thankful that Trey Parker and Matt Stone got to be where they were and the time that they did. Because if you took those two guys now, they would be, not a single TV, as just brand new guys out of college, not a
Yep.
single fucking TV studio would give them a chance.
At all. And that's what I was gonna say is bring back another South Park movie because that's on my list of all-time favorite movies. That
They are
that
bringing
fucking
another one.
movie. What?
Oh, they're bringing at least one out, if not more.
Oh my
They signed
god.
a humongous deal with Paramount that is, I think, they call them movies or specials, but
Yep.
I believe it's eight of them, and then it was like I don't know, it might have been like a 6-year contract extension or something. So we get in quite a few more seasons of the show, and then 8 movies or specials. But I believe one of them is supposed to be like a full length feature film.
Oh my god. Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. You're a
You're a
boner
boner
biting,
biting
biting
bastard, Uncle
bastard, Uncle
Fucker.
Fucker. You
You
don't
don't
eat or
work or
sleep or
play.
no, my favorite part, you don't eat or sleep or mow the lawn. You just fuck your
Fuck
uncle all
your
day
uncle all
long.
day long.
And then they break into a fart solo. That
Good
oh
shit.
my god. That did you watch the special when they did it live at uh not Rolling Rock, but that
Red Rocks.
Red Rocks Amphitheater? Did you see that?
I did not watch that. No,
That was
I saw
magical.
I saw I saw clips with like Primus playing and whatnot.
They surprised Matt with Rush, and he didn't know that they were that Geddy Lee and the other dude was coming out, and
Mm.
that was awesome to see his reaction because he was freaking out. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that if your favorite band just popped up, that'd be pretty fucking cool.
Be shit my pants. But so to kind of like transition from what you were saying with your movie about inappropriate, I picked a very inappropriate rom com, and we kind of touched on it. But I picked something about Mary.
I I blew the load earlier. Okay, well,
Because you don't want to go out there with a loaded gun, you know.
yeah, you don't. Well, apparently, yeah. Oh wow, good fucking save.
But
Wow, yeah,
that
great movie.
the one of the best scenes ever, and it has nothing to do with love, it has nothing to do with romance, but when the dude's in the car and he's talking about 7-minute abs,
Oh
and then he's like 6-minute abs, and he's like, one little bird, something on the tree, and he's talking, he does that riddle, and he's like, step into my office, and he's like, why? Because you're fucking fired. Like, so
yeah,
stupid.
and then you know, only if somebody comes out. Biggest problem is someone comes out with 6 minute abs.
Yeah.
What? Why?
What? No.
You can't even bring a sweat in 6 minutes.
I love his face because he's like going, he does that twitching sound.
It's such a good movie.
I love it.
I love the surrealism of it. Like, I mean, it's just like you know they have the songs, the guy playing the songs in the movie, Brett fucking Favre. Although fuck him,
Yeah, fuck
but
him.
Brett Favre, you know, shows up in it. I think my favorite character in it is the nerdy scientist guy who's pretending to
Oh
pretending
my,
to have cerebral palsy or whatever he's pretending to have.
what the hell is his name? And he does, oh my God, and he's the pizza delivery driver.
Yeah, yeah. And then when
Tucker.
they
Tucker.
yeah, Tucker, yeah, I
Yeah.
love when they show like all of their reasoning for like the end, how they fell in love with her, and his is simply like, I delivered her a pizza one time, and
Well,
I've been stalking her for years now.
you look at Cameron Diaz though, because she was in her prime. Like, you know, the mask, she was gorgeous. And then you have this one, and she's even more gorgeous. And it's that like, you know, she's just like a normal person, but she's a nice person. She's good looking, has all this going for her.
Well, she's like
And
overly like they make her out to be like the sweetest, nicest person on the planet.
yes,
Like,
but like, what's her name? Oh my, why am I drawing Magda with her boobs?
oh yeah, so good.
Like that whole scene. And then what else is hilarious that I wanted to bring up? Oh, I watched I don't know if it's the extended cut or whatever. And I never saw it before, but you remember the dude that had the big dog that lived in Miami that was friends with what's his name? Matt Dillon,
Yes, okay, yeah, yeah.
right? And there's a scene where at the end where they're going to like everything's going crazy and they're going to talk. They go to his apartment and he had the snake. Do you remember he had that's I don't know if they ever showed it, but he had a python and they go in and they're having their disagreement. Yeah. And that scene is just classic. But it pans over to the doorway and the snake's in the doorway with like a big lump in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see
Oh,
that?
I did. That does sound really familiar, actually. Now that, yeah, I think I might have seen that. Yeah, he eats the dog. He eats it, right?
The dog runs through and they're like, oh, because he ate the guy. But I don't think I ever watched like that cut of it. I think I always watched like the normal cut, but that one, and I just picture me because you know how much I hate snakes. I was like, oh, I was so grossed out that it ate that guy.
I mean, I will have to go back and see that again. Oh, God, I was trying to show. Either way, there's
But no,
so much good about that movie.
yeah, the brother, the whole prom scene and when he's getting wheeled out in the stretcher and they drop him and Warren or what's Walter, whatever his name is, he's like, Frank and beans.
Yeah, that's obviously the character that they would blast the movie for nowadays. But I don't. It's just so fucking good. I was trying to find a picture of my favorite. I think the best scene in the whole movie is
Yeah.
the opening scene with him as the as Ben Stiller, who's clearly in his 30s, playing a 17-year-old with the braces, and
Pitbulls.
yes, and he's zips his schlong and balls up, and I just remember, like you said, and then the dad, Keith, I think it's Keith David, and he's
Yep.
like, it just is it the Frank or the beans? I think it's a little bit. What? Well, how'd you get the Frank about the beans? The beans about the Frank.
And I love the whole buildup because everyone looks at it and you're like waiting to see it. You're like, well, I want to fucking see it. And then you finally see this little blimp of it and you're like, ew. Like,
Yeah,
how
they
fucking
actually
gross.
they show it, and that's
Yeah.
they. I mean, as far as this is the movie that really put, I think, like, then after this movie came out, because this movie made a shit ton of money.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I think the studios were like, boom, full
Okay.
force. We want dirty fucking movies. That's what we want. Like, and it was
Yes.
because of this movie.
And I'm all for it. I fucking love that movie. I watched it so much. I think it's great. And I wanted it to be higher on the list, but the ones that I picked, they have justifiable reasons why they're up there. So
Fair
that's,
enough.
yes.
We'll get there.
Yes.
God, there's so much. I mean, I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen that movie in so long, and it's just such a good movie.
Yeah.
Um, I I love the song at the end, the "Build Me Up, Buttercup," and all that.
That's the other thing I miss too is at the end credits of the bloopers and them being funny and doing stuff like that.
Yeah,
You don't see
yeah.
that anymore.
You don't see, well, because you don't see comedies anymore.
It's true.
Like,
Sad.
yeah, you don't see any of that shit anymore. But
No.
that's an excellent pick, and just
Thank
a
you.
purely funny movie that did change how comedies were. The comedies we got are directly responsible. That movie is directly responsible for many movies that we got
Excuse
for the
me.
next like 5 years.
Absolutely. And like great casting is just perfect.
All right, now switching over, I'm gonna get away from the dirty humor here. I'm gonna go with and I told you, old Johnny Cusack was coming back. Have you seen the movie High Fidelity?
I watched that a long time ago, and I will admit I didn't rewatch it. But since it's on your list as an honorable mention, I will watch it.
I mean, it's up to you. High Fidelity is it's such, for me, and especially at the time that I saw it, it it's kind of a lot of what we do on this podcast. I mean, a huge percentage of the movie is John Cusack. He works at a record store, and it's
Yep.
just his relationship blows up, and it's him going back, and you're seeing just him talking directly to the camera
Yep.
about each of his relationships and how they got fucked up. It's kind of a darker look at relationships, but there
Yep.
is like a newer relationship on the line.
Yep.
Um, it is super like nerd culture because he works at a record store. This is the movie that it really introduced Jack Black to a lot of people.
Yep.
This is Jack Black's like first big breakout role, um, more so than his stoner character in the Bahama Mama episode of I Know What
Rain
You Did
jacket
Last
guy.
Summer. um it's just it's really funny in a dark way, and also like he's obsessed with lists and like listing your top five, a list, give me your top five, top five movies from the net. It's so much of what we do on this show is
That's
in that
awesome.
movie.
Yep.
And it's him and his friends sitting around asking for lists and bitching about movies. And they talk about like, oh, there's like a whole back and forth about like why Evil Dead 2 is the greatest movie ever. And like, it's
Oh.
just such a good movie. And it is, I don't know, it's a good movie to watch that also kind of shows a somewhat realistic look at relationships again. Because there is the super sweet one at the end where, spoiler alert, it's fucking however old. He gets back together with the girl that broke up with him at the beginning of the movie. But
Oh,
all of the looks at the relationships beforehand are both really funny, and then like also like just they're really like, I don't know, it's a realistic look at relationships, but with some humor in it, and it's very funny. I think you might like it, but I say Cemetery Man should be the number one movie on your list from this.
it's the only movie that I've written down so far. So that is definitely what I'm gonna watch.
All right, so what is your next one?
So mine is a little obscure, but it's definitely in my fashion. So I went with So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh, such a good one.
And just, of course, to the appeal of it being like scary, I was like, I gotta watch this. And Mike Myers, like, you know, Wayne's World, all of that. But I fucking love when he plays his dad and he's yelling at his brother. Yep, Harriet, sweet Harriet. It's great. It's the one like cult classic. I love that movie so much. And finding out it's like I don't know, it's like a mystery. You find out who it is, and you get that plot twist, and you get him playing his Scottish dad singing Rod Stewart.
Yeah, the where he first did the Shrek voice is in
Yeah,
this movie, and
yeah.
then because he famously did his voice in like I think like an English accent or something, and
Hmm.
then for Shrek the whole movie, and then the last second he was like, "Nah, I think I want to do the voice I did in the Scottish voice I did in So I Married an Axe Murder," and and then $1 billion franchise was born.
Exactly. And it's crazy that it's off of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think it's a great 90s romance with that little murderous twist, and I love it.
It's definitely if you're into, I don't know, if you I feel like if you're like us and we really like, if you like horror or just slightly bizarre kind of movies,
Yep.
it's because it's nothing like crazy like as far as like its presentation.
No.
It's like a John Waters light movie is what I would call it.
And it's perfectly like built up because it just shows like how no one is good enough for him. And then of course, like he meets this woman that he thinks is an axe murderer because his mom reads the fucking oh my god, what were those horrible magazines? Not Esquire, The
Like
Star.
Star and National Enquirer and
Yes, and all those because I used to read when I remember being little and going to the grocery store and seeing like the Bat Baby, woman has
oh
a
yeah.
baby with an alien. You see all those ridiculous covers, and she was like, "Oh, it's true." And then he starts putting it together, and you find out who the. I loved it. I loved it.
It's a great one. And just to go back to just comedies in general, fucking Mike Myers, like I miss. I know he retired from acting, and then he recently came back and he made some like TV show from Netflix. I haven't seen it, but I heard it wasn't very good.
Oh yes, he's like a Canadian. I mean, he's obviously Canadian, but he's playing a Canadian bounty.
Spy or something. Yeah, I don't know. Here's what I want before Mike officially hangs it up. Can we please get the conclusion to Austin Powers?
That's all I want. And I think someone asked him if I could be wrong, but I think someone asked him if he would do another one, and I think he said it's not a definite no.
I mean, the setup is perfect. Like Scott finally takes over. Like it happened
Yes.
at the end. I was sure when I saw that movie, I was like, yeah, we're definitely getting another one. And it's been 20 years now. And I'm like, fucking Scott's gonna be retiring here soon. So like
I would love to see Seth Green come back. I would love to see Rob Lowe come back. I think what I miss is Mike Myers playing six people. Like I think that his range is very apparent in, you know, uh So I Married an Axe Murderer. Like his dad, I cannot, and I can't even express how funny it is to me when he's singing "You're in my heart, you're my soul." He's like, "You Celtic United." He's just making up fucking random parts of this song.
there is a downside to Mike Myers. I think if he has too much freedom, he gets a little too silly. Have you ever
Yes.
seen? Because right after Austin Powers came out, I think he thought he was going to launch his next big franchise. And you ever see The Love Guru?
I started watching that and I stopped it because I was like, this is ridiculous.
It is so it's like cringe bad. It's unbelievable. And it's very much from what I understand is that they after Austin Powers, they were like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And this is what he's like at that time was like, this is
Okay.
everything he wanted was in that movie, and none of it worked.
And that's so sad because like Austin Powers is one of my favorite franchises
Oh,
as a
so good.
whole. It's
Oh yeah.
so good. But two, I'll throw this in there. If he wanted to like come out of retiring and do another Wayne's World,
I
I would
I wouldn't say no.
I'd shit my pants. I'd be so fucking excited because Wayne's World is another classic for me. I watched that probably a little too young for my age, but I love it.
I did as well. I think as a kid, I just thought of it as like a rock and roll movie. And then
Yeah.
like, it's so not even a rock and roll movie. It's just a movie about dudes who like rock. like, but and
And
it's
hockey.
so yeah, and hockey, and it's like, breaks the fourth wall, and it just such a good movie though.
Yes. So yours.
All right, going with other 90s fucking comedy legends. I'm gonna go with and I think I shit on him a little bit earlier, but I'm gonna go with the Sandman, and my all-time favorite Sandler movie is The Wedding Singer. Is it on your list?
Yes. And it's very high up. But no, that movie is so fucking good. I love it so much. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, it's higher on your list than mine, so just I'll let you start it off then.
No, well, I think that the ending, just even David Bowie on a plane or Billy Idol. Jesus Christ, David Bowie. Ground control. No, I'm just kidding. But Billy Idol and then that whole song and just like that's the epitome of a rom-com. You know what I mean? Like you have the comedy aspect, you have all of it built up to that. And then that
Oh,
whole scene is just and Julia Gulia, like
it's so sweet, and you believe. I mean, there's undeniable on-screen chemistry between Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler. That's why they made like 4 or 5 movies. I think Drew I think recently said she would, because I think she retired, I
yep,
thought, and I think she said she would come out of retirement to do another movie with Adam. And I'm like, I'd watch it.
I would too.
I'd watch it. But there is definite on-screen chemistry, but I think this was their best one. I love it just as someone who, when that movie, no, well, not when it came out, but like when I really fell in love with that movie. Because when it first came out, I was too young. Like I was like, no, I like Happy Gilmore more. I like,
Yes.
the more slapsticky Adam Sandler movies. It's like when I became like a 17, 18, 20-year-old something, where
Mhm.
I can appreciate the sadness of that movie, because like
Yeah.
there's a lot. I mean, obviously he sings a song called "Somebody Kill Me Please," and it's so fucking great. Like
I
I
love it.
learned how to play it on guitar. I was like I was like I play guitar, not like I was in like little bands and stuff like that, but like, and
Yeah.
I that made me appreciate it even more because he's in this crappy wedding band and he's playing in front of 9 people. I'm like, I can relate to that.
I love that part when it's like and he's slow plucking and it's low and then somebody clap it please and fucking starts raging. I love it.
And I love it just because I do love The Cure, and like I just love the warning he gives before it. I just want to warn y'all, I've been listening to The Cure a lot lately when I wrote this.
And I love the
uh,
nods to the 80s. I love the how he talks about getting a CD player, just
mhm.
all the references. And another, I think one of the best quotes from a movie is when they're um having him do all the tests to be the limo driver and he's running in and he's grabbing like the people and he's putting him in the limo and he comes around and he's fucking going wicked fast and they're like, you hit a cone, and he sits there. It was a cone.
They were cones.
There it goes. Oh, it's just
Oh yeah,
great.
Alan Covert is. I actually always love him. I talked about Grandma's Boy so much on here, but
Yeah.
this was, other than Grandma's Boy. I mean, this is the other one. This is the other role for him. Is he's great as the best friend in this movie.
It's just like the perfect casting. The douchebag boyfriend, he was perfect, and I just think they're great together. I think they're such, like you said, the best chemistry, and just a great movie.
Yeah. I love the sweet old lady who was in like all of the movies in the 90s. Like
Yeah.
so good. I mean, it's just it's Steve Buscemi is fucking great in that movie.
Yes. And what's her name? Alexis Arquette, the one that
Yes, yeah, yes, yes.
like George, boy George,
The
George.
boy George. Yes, the Boy George.
Yes. And
Yes.
when they're when she keeps singing, "Do you really want to hurt?" They're like, "Get off the stage."
Yeah, it's just they're looking for him. Just she only knows the one song, so they just keep it going.
Give
Oh, it's
me
so good.
time. Yes, I love it.
And
I
doesn't
want to
she
watch it now.
at the end of the movie like hook up with one of the I think she hooks up with somebody. It's been a while, but everybody's great in that fucking movie. Like you said, the dickhead boyfriend is so he's even funny in that movie. Like,
Yes, it's spot on because he was in 28 Days with Sandra
yep.
Bullock, and I thought that he's in so many movies, and I can't even think of his name, but he was just the perfect douchebag in the movie. And then you have, Adam Sandler that's just like a nice dude. Oh my god, and when he was all drunk and she wore his shirt.
Oh yeah.
Hey Lena, you're a bitch.
I I love the part when he's like, I can't remember what I think it was. God, I think it was oh, I cannot think of what was the band T-shirt that he was wearing? It was
Van Halen.
yeah, yeah. Can you please take that shirt off because I'm afraid that you're gonna have a bad influence and they're gonna break up too. Which I think was also a joke. Was right around that time was when they broke up and then got back together with Hagar. But yes,
Yes. Yes.
I will say also we talked about this on the last week's episode. This would have been a great selection. Um, Soundtrack. I
Yes.
remember this was a twofer. This was such a popular soundtrack that they actually released two separate soundtracks, like with
Oh.
more music. So you could buy like there was copy one and copy two, and it had different songs on it. And I
Yeah.
owned both of them. They were it was fucking great.
Oh man, I wish I would have got that because that soundtrack is perfection. I love all of it. I think I'm such an 80s whore. Like I just love the 80s so much. And it's
Favorite
the
decade by far.
me yes, and I think it's just the perfect compilation of 80s.
Absolutely,
You can just
it's
feel it.
yeah. And if you set that movie, they made such a smart choice by setting that movie in the 80s. If you set it in the current day when they made it, the movie would have been half as good.
Exactly. I love it so much.
All right, well then I sniped one of yours on there. What
It's
is
okay.
your next pick? Because I believe we're now in our official picks.
We are in our official pick. So number 5, and again, like I'll just disclose this. I picked all like rom-coms. Like you think of rom-com when you hear the name, but I picked Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. And like I think it's one of the where I cried and I rewound it like 10 times and I kept playing it over over and over again is when he's playing hockey and he's trying to show off and he's playing against the kids and it's just that like craziness and the slowdown and he gets hit with the fucking puck and then Dusty Dinkelman comes in.
Dusty Dinkelman. Such a
Dusty
dumb
fucking
fucking name.
comes in and they put him on the stretcher and they're like, oh, something Dusty Lee. And he's like all bandaged up. He's like, Dusty Lee. And then he fucking, I can't even say it. He fucking wiggles his way in the stretcher and it goes down the hill and he flies up in the air. The kids are like, whoa.
I
I can't.
love that. I saw that movie in theaters. I don't know how old I was. It's so fucking funny. It's like an underrated. People don't talk about it anymore, but it's so fucking funny.
And like
I
the brothers.
the little brother is my favorite character in the whole movie. I just how much of a little asshole he is.
And I love when they would like fight and you just hear him squeal. He's like, "Arr!" They go and they fight.
Oh, it's just so
Uh,
good. And then I mean Anna Faris is like not
Perfection.
I'm not the biggest fan of hers these days. just because I've listened to her podcast, unfortunately, and once I know how they are as a person, and I'm like, oh,
That ruins it.
I wouldn't want to be around you. But but it's she was so fucking good. I mean, this is her era. I mean, Scary Movie to this, like,
Yes.
boom, like good
I
shit.
didn't I didn't like her. Like I thought she was good in Scary Movie, but I mean obviously she had to be overtly annoying because that's what she was trying. But first I just did not like her. And then when this came out, I'm like, I thought she was hilarious. I thought she was perfect when she's all fucked up and she's eating
Yeah.
the toothpaste. I just
Uh,
think it's one of the and Ryan Reynolds, his delivery in comedies back then, like Van Wilder, even when he was in Harold and Kumar, when he was the doctor.
so, but why?
Yeah, like perfect. Just I loved him. So and I love the whole, Dusty Dinkelman and that whole fighting for the girl and he's the douchebag and all
And
of it.
I got to give credit because for whatever reason, people love to shit on Chris Klein. They just did. I mean, like coming out of American Pie, like he was the
Yeah.
one that everyone kind of made fun of for being like a bad actor. And I will say, like compared to like Jason Biggs and Eugene Levy and
Yeah.
Sean William Scott.
Yes. Yep.
He clearly didn't have as much charisma as them, but he showed some chops in this movie as far as for being funny because he's funny as fuck in this movie. Not the greatest actor, still not gonna lie, but he was pretty goddamn good in this movie.
But
I think
you're
it's his
right,
best.
'cause
It's his best movie.
it is his best movie, and the cast was like the mom from What About Bob,
Yep.
perfect because she's so like light spoken and come on, honey, and just everything about it. It just makes you. I laugh, I cry every single time I watch that movie. It's so many parts, but then just them having the chance, like he wanted her for so long, they had the chance, and he fucking doesn't do it. And he's a man whore, and it's just the
We
perfect
we
recipe for a
we
rom com.
we didn't even talk about the fat suit.
The
Like
beginning part.
I miss a good fat suit in movies. I mean, you couldn't
Yes.
do that nowadays because you fat shame. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just Ryan Reynolds in a fat suit is fucking hilarious in
With
that movie.
braces.
Yeah, and braces and all the pimples on his face. He just looks like I mean, he looked like just a pathetic, sad 30-year-old who I love when they try to pretend that these like 35-year-olds are, like, oh yeah, you don't know, you're 17. We'll barely do, cover up your face at all. But yeah,
Yeah. You're good. But no,
yeah.
like, yes, let's bring back a fat suit and let's have it be, because it happens. People change. And it's not bad to depict them when they were not at the best because that's real life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, and it's just, I don't know. It's if you can, hey, he gets the girl in the end, doesn't he? So, boom.
Yeah, exactly.
And he looks like Ryan Reynolds at the end. So how about that? Like, if I had to spend a few years being fat to look like Ryan Reynolds at the end, I would
It'd be
take that
worth it.
deal.
Yeah.
I would
Yes.
take that deal if I got to look like Ryan Reynolds for 1 week. Like,
And what's funny though is I think that his appeal is his humor. Like,
oh,
yes, he's a naturally good looking guy, and that's like appealing. But for me, it's just how fucking ridiculously like his wit, how
well,
funny,
yeah,
like,
his charisma is what carries him. Um,
yes.
there's a million, you know, buff dudes who are good looking, but there's most of them have nothing in their fucking heads. It, yeah,
Exactly.
he wouldn't be Ryan Reynolds if he didn't have that charisma and that comedy.
And like I did not like him in the Amityville Horror.
I did.
You did? I
Oh,
I I didn't like that remake, and I don't know. I thought I was going to enjoy it because of him, but I felt very like let down because of it. And I mean, you got to see the shot of him ripped with his shirt off with the axe, and I was like, that's fine for
he's got a big old beard too.
I know, but that for that scene, that's all that was that really kind of stood out to me because I was just like, maybe I should rewatch it though. I watched that a long time ago.
I will have to say, I just thinking back on it, I haven't seen it in a while. I would actually put it on like without having seen it in quite a few years. I do own it. I would put it on the low end of like my favorite horror remakes. But
Oh,
like I remember it being pretty genuinely creepy, especially when I saw it the first time in theaters. And I already said I state that the first Amityville Horror is one of the scariest movies ever made, in my opinion.
yeah, it's good.
But I just remember distinctly is I think there's like a babysitter in that movie, or
That
maybe I think it's a babysitter, and she walks into the closet, and there's the girl with the bullet hole in her head, and the little
mhm.
girl takes the babysitter's finger and shoves it into the bullet hole in her own brain, and I'm like,
Yes.
oh, that's fucking cool, dude. Like I don't know, I'll have to
That scene
rewatch
was
it.
that scene was awesome. I will give you that, but I feel like the rest of it was kind of like I wanted more of that because I thought they were going to give more of that throughout the movie, and I felt like it was just kind of not.
Yeah, and they did switch it up. I mean, that's which I don't. I never want to straight just give me. I mean, if I want, don't. I never want a shot for shot remake because it's what's the point then? You know, like that's like when they remade Psycho and it's the same exact fucking movie. It's like, but I don't
That was
know.
it.
Like they replaced the whole portal to hell with I think an Indian burial ground, and some guy was like sacrificing people or some shit. I don't remember. So maybe we should do a rewatch and cover it on a future episode.
I'm down. I would do want to rewatch it. So, but
How many do you have left?
I have 4.
Okay, all right. Then I have 3. This is but I had one that just came to my head while we were talking, and I'm gonna include it. It's not my top 5, but I'm just gonna throw it in here now.
Okay, but to be fair though, we did touch on Wedding Singer for quite a bit, so that kind of narrows me down to 3.
Oh, never mind then. Never mind then. Nope. Never mind. Okay, number 3. This is my other kind of out of the box one. Are you familiar with Return of the Living Dead Part 3?
With the girlfriend.
Yes, Melinda Clark.
Yes. That's funny because I was eyeballing that one too.
Okay, so and if you haven't seen it and you're just maybe you're familiar with Return of the Living Dead 1 or 2, which are far more popular. Um, it's not an asinine pick. It is totally a love story. The
Yeah.
whole the whole movie is a love story. Now they changed the rules, but Return of the Living Dead never really took them seriously anyway. So
Right.
it's a love story about a couple, and the girl dies, but she is reanimated as one tends to be in a Return of the Living Dead movie. And it's the boy is trying to keep her alive and sentient, and the whole thing is just his love for her and her love for him and them being together, but while the virus is still affecting her, they do this weird thing that I think may had an effect on me as a child.
Yeah.
They added a thing in this movie which wasn't in the other movies, but it was that if she feels pain, it like substantiates or I'm not sure of the word I'm trying to think of here.
Yeah.
It satiates her zombie-ness or whatever. Like it keeps her more in control.
Yes.
So she throughout the movie is constantly like, I mean, she's partly is just cutting herself, and that's like fucked up. But she's also like giving herself like body modifications. Like she's got piercings all over
Yes. Yeah.
and like a split tongue and like all this other shit. And like, I mean, like, so for the people who've never seen it, that's like what she looks like in the movie. And I think it did something to me because as someone who grew up to get pretty into the body modification culture, I've pulled out all my piercings and stuff now.
Yeah.
But I think it did something to me. It awoke something in me because Melinda Clark is fucking gorgeous in that movie.
So that cover scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, and I
Oh,
could not
really?
watch that until I got when she got the side and it's like that red glowy and she has the glass and all the shit in her. I was like, I am not fucking watching that movie. Like covers scared me when you would go to a video store.
Oh yeah.
That was a fuck no for me. I was like, I ain't watching that. And now I love it.
It's so underrated. Like
Hmm.
now, granted, I think after 3, the Return of the Living Dead franchise takes a fucking giant leap off a cliff of how the quality goes.
Yep.
But 1 through 3 are all classics in my book, and 3 is such a weird twist. Like, who would have thought we're going love story? But I appreciate that they did.
Because I feel like with a zombie storyline that's not far-fetched, because you see it now more in modern zombies, like love, like that being however it's portrayed, like you love something, you were in love with something and losing it, you lost it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
incorporating that with zombies, because that's super fucking believable.
I mean, it's all. I mean, even going back to like Pet Cemetery. I mean, it's. I mean, that's really at the heart of it. It's just not being able to let go of something. You know.
That is a
Um,
forever fucking traumatic. Like I can't even watch it now. Like that scene is just so, the fucking shoe when it flies off and he's
so
screaming. I'm
brutal.
like,
So fucking brutal.
I know.
Like I watched the remake, which wasn't very good. It was like C minus. It wasn't
Yeah.
terrible, but I
Yeah.
remember I was like, man, like they could really make that scene, worse, and they pushed out on it, and I'm like, man, you could have fucking annihilated that kid in this new one.
I was waiting for that too. I'm like, they're gonna go balls to the wall with this. Nothing. And then even like the part with the knife, with the
Yeah,
scalpel, and oh my god. And when he's like, oh, and he makes like the noises and he's sad. He's like a little zombie baby.
and it's
Fucking
Herman
heartbreaking.
Munster, and it's Herman Munster.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Who does that to
uh
him?
yeah. Now there's just a few things I'd like to bring up because I feel like Return of the Living Dead doesn't get enough love. There's reasons why this movie is great. It's directed by Brian Yuzna, and huge fan of Brian Yuzna. If you know, he's the producer of the Reanimator movies, at least the first two, I believe, and
Oh,
he's the director of my all-time favorite movie I like to show people to do what the fuck is this movie? It
yeah.
was the very first episode of my old podcast because it was almost like the premise was built around me showing this movie to people and being like, this is fucked up, isn't it? Like have you ever seen Society?
Is that okay? No, I haven't, but I've seen like the butt face.
Yeah.
And I've seen I like I read about it and I see people post clips and I'm like, that looks but I've never watched it.
I mean,
I need to watch it. It's a me movie.
I think you'd get a kick out of it. It's very short. It's only like 90 minutes long, but
Oh,
just such a fucking fun, weird 80s movie that has one of the best like last 15-minute sequences you'll ever see in a movie. But yeah, he made that. And then I also just I did a little bit of research on this and like I don't know why, but I just want to bring this up because I wanted to ask you a question here about this.
yeah.
So Melinda Clark, I was like researching for this and I clicked on her page and it's like, famous relatives, and it said her father was John Clark. And I'm like, what? That sounds kind of
John Clark.
familiar.
Is that from Pocahontas?
No, you're thinking of John Smith.
Okay.
Um, but John Clark, he is a character, or he's an actor, and apparently this stat was insane to me. He played the same character. He was Mickey on on Days of Our Lives. He
Yeah.
played Mickey for 39 years.
What?
3,083 episodes. He literally played, apparently, because the show's over now, I guess.
Yeah.
He was the only actor to be from the beginning to the end of that show, from 1965 to 2004. This fucker was showing up to work. I'm like, I can't imagine doing anything. I mean, I hate going to work 5 days in a row, let alone
Mm-hmm.
this guy's like, I'm here for 65 years playing the same fucking role.
Fuck retirement. I'm playing the same person because it's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, I want to see a picture of him. Is it, you said John? Wait,
John Clark, actor. You could Google it.
John Clark.
I didn't recognize him, but it blew my mind when I saw that. I was like, oh my God. You have all these other actors who like, they'll leave a show after 4 years because they're bored and they want to play something else. Or like Mandy Patinkin, who that fucking asshole, every time he gets a hit show, he quits after like a year because he's like, whoa, like I'm like, why do people keep hiring this fucking asshole?
Yeah,
This
like when
guy's like, I'm doing this shit for 4 decades.
Days of Our Lives, 1960 fucking seven. That is insanity.
Yeah, crazy.
Oh my God. And my mom used to be a soap opera
Oh,
hoe bag. She like General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, As the World Turned. You want to know a fun fact about that?
what's that?
I think it was Days of Our Lives when because I was born in Orlando. She took me to an audition for one of the kids or whatever. Like I don't think it was like a baby, but a kid, and I got the role, but they changed like the direction because of the parents. So I was strawberry blonde, so I had bleach blonde hair, and they went with a boy with dark hair. Like I got it, but then they switched it, and I was like, I mean, I was too young to know, but what the fuck? I could have been on a soap opera.
You could have been hanging out with Mickey.
Tell me about your daughter, her playing a zombie.
Yeah. Were the nipple rings real?
Can you tell me? Could you show me, please?
Get her on the phone.
Yeah, but that's crazy.
Yeah, I just it's just a random fact that I came across that had nothing to do with our topic, but I was just like, man, I can't not address that. Like that's a fucking crazy statistic.
You had to.
3,000 over 3,000 episodes. Holy shit.
She was in CSI. She was a dominatrix.
Yeah, I like CSI a lot. She was a very famous recurring character named Lady Leather. Yeah, Lady Leather.
Yep, and then she was in Seinfeld.
I don't.
She was the Muffin Tops.
I mean, Jerry had a new girlfriend in every episode, so probably was that girl. I can't say for certain. I don't remember though.
Yeah, she's so pretty now.
Oh, she's gorgeous. But yeah, that's kind of it sounds like it's an off the wall answer, but it is like a true love story, and it is kind of like a fucked up horror love story.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it's the best one. So that's the one that I went with.
I feel like you don't see a lot of other different types of love stories in horror. Like you see a lot of zombies, like Warm Bodies, Life After
Which
Beth, and
I've never seen Warm Bodies, but I hear people really like it.
it's really good. And I watched that a while ago, like when it first came out, and I really liked it. But you don't see it like in any other type of subgenre. Like you see maybe vampires, like Let the Right One In, or
Yeah, vampires I think have like a little bit of like sex appeal to them. I mean, Twilight was a whole billion-dollar franchise that was based on that. So
it's true. I fucking hate Twilight, but I think that the zombie thing works because, like, again, there's so many aspects that you can take love.
have you seen any of them, by the way?
What, Twilight's?
Yeah.
So when I was out on Valentine's Day, we went to a Mexican restaurant, and the one where she was giving birth and died.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know which one that one was on, and it was right across from where we were sitting. So I was sitting in the booth looking up to the bar, and I'm like, is this fucking Twilight? And then there was the werewolf and then the vampire.
I hate them.
I I I don't think I even watched like 10 minutes of one, and I won't read the books. No, not for me.
So here's the thing. I hate them. I've seen all of them, but they are so much fun to watch. Oh,
Because of how ridiculous they are.
if you can get together, if you can do it yourself, but if you can get friends who are into watching like just bad movies, like they are a watch. They're so fucking funny. I mean, I had a friend who was huge into the books when the movies were coming out.
Yeah.
And like she would like, tell me about all this shit. And like, so like she told me like around the time the first or the second one came out, she's like, I don't remember when it was, but timeline is fuzzy. But she told me like a movie or two beforehand, she's like, so there's a scene where the vampire guy gives his wife, teenage bride, a cesarean with his fangs.
Ugh.
And I'm like, oh my God. So for like 2 years, I'm just like, I cannot fucking wait for this movie. I cannot wait to see what they do in this scene.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Can I just show you one thing? If you've never seen this, this should show you how great it is. So in the movie, fuck it, I'm spoiling in it. Whatever. I just told you. So Bella and whatever Robert Patrick's character's name is, they have a baby, but only because they're married, because can't have sex before marriage according to the Mormon faith.
Of course not.
So they have this fucking baby, and instead of it just being a fucking baby, they decided to CGI it. I don't know what I maybe am getting this wrong, and maybe I thought the reasoning was to try and make it look like the features of the two actors. I don't know if that's true or not, but look at this fucked up monstrosity that they put in this movie. Wow, God, here I gotta look at
Julianne Moore.
No, look at this fucking thing.
That was the baby?
That's the baby. It's a fucking monster.
Shut up.
They CGI'd a face onto this baby, and it's in every scene. It looks fucking psycho. I mean, it's scarier than most of the movies we have talked about today that are horror movies.
It looks like someone I know. Like a grown-ass adult.
and that, yeah, and it almost looks like an adult's face on and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's what it is that the actor, so the baby like ages rapidly.
Yeah.
And I believe, now that I'm thinking about it, their thought behind it was whatever actress that they got to play the baby when it's older, they wanted to make it look like, I'm like, nobody would have fucking noticed. You just made this horrible monstrosity. Like,
I think I watched the birthing scene when I was at dinner, because there's all this blood and she was like dying, and then she turned into a vampire, and like there's all this blood and babies, and I'm eating like my fucking salsa, I'm drinking my margarita, and I'm like, what is this shit? So I think I think I might have seen that.
Yeah, well, you've seen my favorite scene then.
Well, good. I mean, it was meant to be. I'm not into it. I think Kristen Stewart's a horrible actress. In these movies.
Yeah, in those, but I think everybody's bad in those. As I say, because I like her in Adventureland, which is on my list earlier, and
right.
I liked Underwater. I mean, her fighting Cthulhu. I mean, I like that.
I did hear that one was good. I think like when she was doing like the who farted face and like the, and the over exaggeration, it's just like I'd rather watch Halloween again.
And half of her lines in that movie are just, they're spoken at this level. Oh. It's like Liv Morgan, not Liv, that's a wrestler. Liv Tyler in Lord of the Rings. There's every scene of hers is like, you have to turn it up to like 40 because you're like,
what?
Because she speaks like this, Aragorn. It's like, speak up, bitch. Come on, what are you doing?
I can't fucking hear you.
Anyway,
yes.
Yeah.
I want to just see scenes with this baby. I'm going to like Google that shit once we're done recording. I'm going to sit on my couch, find out where I can stream Cemetery Man. And then I'm going to look up Kristen Stewart, cesarean section by Edward from Twilight.
Yeah. And then Google Twilight fucked up baby.
You know what's funny though is, okay, so as much as Twilight is just not a thing within our family, and this is weird, but this is just how funny this coincidental business is. When I got pregnant, I couldn't think of names. And Greg was like, if we have a girl, I want to call her Rosalind. And I'm like, that's really pretty. Like, where did you get it from? And he said it was off of the Twilight soundtrack. And I'm like, what? Like, did I have a baby with someone who likes Twilight? And I was like, questioning
that they have the soundtrack.
But it's Bon Iver, and it's with Saint Vincent, and the song's called Rosalind, and it is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. And we found out we were having a girl, so we named her Rosalind. And it's just, I just think it's so ridiculous that he got it from the Twilight soundtrack.
That is ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
I know one Roz in my life.
Yeah.
And that's Roz from Frasier.
Oh. You don't hear that name very, very often.
And I like it. Roz was a great character too. I love Frasier. And then Ra's al Ghul from Batman, but that's a little different.
Yes. But I laughed so hard when he said that, because I'm like,
you're like, oh my God.
I think that was the exact face. Like my lip went up and I'm like, how do you know that?
Yeah, Or who are you?
Are you Edward? So yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
yes.
So
Um,
what's next on your list?
it's so cliche, and I think we've like talked about pretty much all these movies, but I just wanted to stay true to like my faves. But number 4 is, or 3, excuse me, is Can't Hardly Wait.
Such a good one.
And it's just, I think I have like this thing for Ethan Embry because he's on the list again, but
You've included him, I think, on your list of your like '90s crushes before, or early 2000s crushes, or whatever it was.
yes, because I think he's just like whatever role he's playing, he just plays it so well. But I love the whole, the jock and the pretty girl break up, and the underdog gets her. And just watching, like, I miss those types of movies where you get to see a mass cast, but you get a breakdown of each character throughout the night and how
Yeah,
it intertwines. I miss those movies.
yeah, I really like those movies. Like have you ever seen 200 Cigarettes?
Yes, and I love that movie Go with
Go.
Katie Holmes, Timothy Oliphant, like
Very good. The Ecstasy
that.
movie. Yeah.
Yep, just yeah, yes, the Ecstasy movie. But I loved, what's her name?
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I do love her, but no, the one that played the angel, the stripper
Oh
angel, and she had her own show.
Dharma. That's what I know her as. She's Dharma.
Yes, but I loved
From
her
Dharma and Greg, for people listening. Yeah.
back in the day. Aging ourselves with, people are probably like, what the fuck is Dharma and Greg? But I just love all of it. I love where you think that it's not going to happen, and then that moment
Jenna
where they,
Elfman, by the way.
yes, Jen Elfman, Jenna, right?
Jenna Elfman, yeah.
Yes. I just think it's a perfect rom com. I love Seth Green and his whole shtick with that girl.
It's so great. Seth Green getting locked in the bathroom for the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then I think my favorite part is like the nerds trying to like infiltrate the party and like to get revenge on the bully, and then the nerd gets drunk and becomes like the king of the party. He does the best rendition of Paradise City ever by the Guns N' Roses, and it's just so fucking good. And then he becomes friends with the bully at the end. It's just, like it's just really good. It's a
It's
really good. It's like a clean version of American Pie.
Yes, and I love that you said that, because for some reason how that was popular back in the day was music moments, like music numbers. Like Julia Stiles and 10 Things I Hate About You when she's dancing, and then him doing that, and it's just, I don't know, it makes me feel a certain way because it brings me back to a time when I was like in my teens, and you're just like, wow, that'd be cool to experience something like that.
Yeah, I think at that point, everybody who watches that movie, I think, is like, yeah, man, like, especially around the time I watched it, I was probably like 13. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, when I go to a party, that's how it's gonna be. I'm gonna get up on a microphone, I'm gonna fucking sing some fucking 80s song, and then everyone's just gonna fucking love me. Like, that's how it's gonna be.
It's all gonna happen.
And then I'm gonna fuck some chick in the bathroom.
Yes.
And fall in love forever.
And have that moment. Yes. And like Jennifer Love Hewitt is such like the epitome of that girl, like the it girl, like the one girl that you wanted to be with. And
especially in that time frame.
yes. And then, realizing that's not who she wants to be. I don't know. I just think it's a great coming of age rom-com. It does have the good element, like, oh my God, what's the dude's name? Breckin Myers and what's the guy's name from Scrubs?
Oh, Donald Faison.
Yes, and having him in the band.
Yep.
Oh, what was her name? Remember he was dressed like Austin Powers? Oh my God.
I will not remember it.
I'm thinking because I can hear it. Because they had a shirt. Oh my God, what was it? Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah.
But yes. Oh my God. I don't want. It was ridiculous.
The Love Burger.
Yes. Yes. So stupid.
Yeah.
And remember, they kept trying to play, and they're like 1, 2, and then something would happen. Nothing. They would get to play.
Never got to play.
Yeah.
Just good shit. I like the like even the two side dorks, like nerds who are like sitting on the roof just like watching the party from afar, but they're having like the best time ever.
Yeah.
Like
I loved it.
it's just a really good teen coming of age movie that like I think you could, like I said, it's like a clean version of a American Pie, or something like a clean teen movie. I think that you could show it, any teenager could watch regardless of what their parents level, because the only thing that really happens in the movie, well, I guess that there is drinking and Seth Green does lose his virginity, but you know
Yeah, but it's like, and it just, I don't know, like he was so adamant to have sex, and I love how he was like with those guys, and they're at the store, the convenience store, and they get all the condoms, and he has his little love bag. So stupid.
Oh, and just with the fucking goggles and like
Yeah.
just like so like he was so late 90s. It was like nobody was like, I mean, I never saw a human being dressed like that in my life. Like,
But do you remember though that happened? And then I don't know if it was either before or after, but The Offspring, and they had the dude with the goggles, and he was like the dorky guy in Pretty Fly for a White Guy. Like
yeah,
that video?
yeah. I think it sort of became like a thing. Like this is what dorks think is cool, like dressing like that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I got to think like it's a all right. I'm told it's a bad movie, but I enjoy it.
What?
Fuck it, I don't care. Around this time frame, did you ever see Hackers with Angelina Jolie?
I did not.
Uh,
Is it good?
I'm told it's bad. I've watched it like 50 fucking times. So
But I feel like we're at this point now where people think something's bad that you and I are gonna like it. And if
it's
people love it, then we're gonna hate it.
it's a very late 90s movie about, it's Angelina Jolie, Johnny Lee Miller, Matthew Lillard, a bunch of famous people around that age range. And
Yep.
it's about like it's an early movie about like computer hacking, and they're all cyberpunks and whatnot. Matthew Lillard's unhinged in it.
Really?
Yeah, he's like running around like his nipples hanging out, and he's fucking he's like basically homeless, but also like a master hacker. I don't know. Maybe you might like it. Every year I see it pop up on lists of like bad movies, and I'm like, I don't know. I own it, and I fucking love it. And I think it was the reason that as a kid, like Angelina Jolie, and to this day still is, Angelina Jolie was like the first movie star that I was like, yes, I'm in love with her. Like,
Yeah. That like awakening, we're just
yeah,
like, okay,
yeah,
this is what I'm into. Yeah.
yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, either way. It's another teen movie. It's not one I'm picking. There is romance in it, but it's not the pick I have. Just can't hardly wait. Made me think of it.
Yeah. Yes, down too.
You want to hear my number 2 pick?
I would love to hear your number 2 pick.
Which I hesitated to put on this list because I was like, there's no fucking way Jordana's not putting this on her list. I was like, this has to be on one of our lists. Like I preloaded it. I was like, I literally have to put this on here. Like I saved the picture before the system got fucked up. I was like, she's definitely picking this, but it has to be on here. It's my bloody fucking Valentine.
I didn't pick it.
Yeah, because you went all like Rob. You didn't put any like tertiary movies in there.
I didn't, but you know what? It's one of my favorite. The original too, right? We're
Yeah,
not
1981. I don't like the remake. That is a remake I don't enjoy.
No, I mean, I think the beginning sequence when he's like going crazy, like I just rewatched it and I'm like, like that's not horror, but like as it progressed, I'm like, this is bad. And I know a lot of people enjoyed it, but My Bloody Valentine is so goddamn good.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's so good. I believe I saw the remake first, and I was like, this movie, like I saw it alone, and I was like, this movie kind of sucks. Like I was like, and then I if I recall, like this was back during like On Demand on Comcast. I was like, this is like the legendary movie that everyone talks about. Like this fucking sucks. Like this has got the super, and I like Supernatural, but I was like, this fucking guy's a shitty actor. I was like, how did he get in this? There's a shitty actor with a shitty plot, and I don't like the way that they twisted the remake around with the spoiler.
Yeah. It's like why would you do that?
and just it wasn't as fun. And then I saw the original, like I don't know how many years after that, and I was like, oh, this is one of the best holiday themed movies, horror movies that exists. Like I think Black Christmas is number one for me.
Yep.
Off the top of my head, I think My Bloody Valentine might be two.
I think that's how my list would go too. If we're talking like strict holiday, bloody
Like,
or Black Christmas, My Bloody Valentine,
yeah,
totally.
so fucking good. I love the actual hearts like being.
Yes.
It's such an obvious thing. Like, of course he's gonna give an actual heart. Like, but it's so fucking good.
But it's like okay, so when I think of horror and body parts that I would not want to, like when I was younger too, that kind of weirded me out was hearts and getting your head cut off.
Like
You know what I
I
mean? Like other things, it's like you watch people get smashed against trees and sleeping bags and whatever. But I felt like removal of hearts and having it in a chocolate container, putting someone in a fucking washer or excuse me dryer, like what?
yeah, it's pretty brutal for 1981.
The shower scene, like it's so goddamn good. But I wanted to stray from horror because I wanted to like I so badly wanted to put it on, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do the rom-coms that I
Challenge yourself a little bit.
yes, to go outside of the box.
Well, I was like, I got it. This is a fastball pitch down the middle. I got to take it.
I'm glad you did.
And then I also kind of wanted to shit on the remake as well.
Yeah.
Harry Warden is and honestly kind of surprised that with as good as it was. Now I don't know what the box office was on it in 1981. I'm guessing not good,
No.
because everything got sequels back then. I think this could have had legs as a franchise. And I wouldn't mind seeing another remake of it done. Just good. like I wouldn't mind seeing this as like an attempted reboot, because I think the first one has so much importance to the horror community
Yeah.
that I wouldn't mind seeing a remake that has that's actually good. And then I'm
Mhm.
like, you could do a fucking a kind of silly fun franchise out of this, and I think I would watch them. So I don't know.
You could go that route, but you could also go Evil Dead route, and you could totally go balls,
Just hardcore.
just hardcore, like make it super gory. I think he's such an underrated slasher. I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like I know people talk about him, but I feel like he needs more recognition. And I do feel like a lot of the movies back in the 80s that were not good and didn't do well are now cult classics. And I think that it would have been received differently in a different timepiece, even though I want it to remain in that one. I think that's what makes it even more amazing.
Agreed. I think
You know,
the biggest problem for the the film and its legacy, and the fact that it never really got a true sequel,
hmm
and Harry Warden doesn't get the respect as a killer that he should, is
hmm
the fact that it's a standalone movie. It's one. He didn't get a franchise like Jason and Freddy and Michael and all them. Like it's just, but he hit it out of the park the first time. I'll tell you that much.
and that's what I was gonna say is like my hot take, and I don't know if people are gonna like cancel me for saying this, but I think on a list of slashers, I think that he would probably trump Freddy for me, just because he delivered one and was so goddamn good at it. Like he did not, like you said, he did not need all these sequels. I think that he is a really good standalone slasher, and I think that he, even Billy from Black Christmas,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they're very
I,
underappreciated.
I think if Black Christmas had came out 10 years later than it did, it would have been a franchise movie. You would have had Black Christmas 2, 3, 4. I think it would have been a franchise movie, which would have made the first one less special. And then we have the remakes that I know you love one of them, and one of them you refuse to watch. So we should watch that for a movie. I think that needs to be an episode for us. Us diving in on a movie we both love,
Yeah,
a movie we're split on, and the third incarnation of it that neither of us have ever seen.
I'm down. That sounds like such a good episode because I could talk all day about 2006. 74 is Chef's Kiss. And from what I heard about this one, it's just because I think I heard spoilers. I don't understand. But
Yeah,
again, that ropes into what is being produced now, so I get it, but I don't get it, and I think it's just blasphemy.
I think that's got to be an episode for us at some point
Let's
because
do it.
it just it makes too much sense. And all in all, it's probably going to be us shitting on this movie for an hour and a half. But I think it is might be a fun way to do so, and maybe also show some love for the 1974 one from me and you,
Yes.
and maybe talk a little bit of our divisive feelings on 2006, was it?
2006. Oh yeah. I we should do it next week because I'm totally down.
I'm game for it.
Okay.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
We're going backwards in the holidays. We just had Valentine's Day, but now we're going back to fucking Christmas.
We're going back to Christmas, and a shitty Christmas it will be.
Yes, and then they should make I'll say it here now. They should make a Groundhog's Day fucking horror movie and make a feature creature with a goddamn groundhog that's pissed off from being pulled out of his goddamn hole.
Genuinely shocked that that doesn't exist.
I think that there was someone posted something in a regards of.
I am Googling killer groundhog movie.
Who posted it? Did we post it on our page? Because I know I posted it on Pretty Killer, and I could have sworn I posted it on ours. But I'm shocked. This is why we need to be in the movie industry, just to pitch ideas, because I think that some would take.
I think it would as well. I cannot find it, but it's because Happy Death Day exists, which the internet, when I Google killer groundhog movie, it thinks I'm asking for Groundhog Day horror movie.
Repeating itself.
Happy Death Day is just Groundhog Day with murder. So
I will find it, and then when we clip this, I will put the image of it because it was terrifying. It was like I could see it was like blue, and it was like evil, and it had the red for the and I forgot what the tagline was, but we need that. We need a new creature feature.
I saw my fucking shadow, bitch.
I spit on your shadow.
I don't know what it is, but I picture it just being like Thanksgiving, which I don't know if you've seen Thanksgiving or not.
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it. Oh. No. Oh wait. I didn't watch Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
Yes.
Phenomenal, both phenomenal movies.
Yes.
But Thanksgiving is pretty special. It's a turkey and he talks, and it's just like I did the voice, gobble gobble, motherfucker.
But that's right up my goddamn alley. Like I love fucking Cruel Jaws.
I remember the box art. We're just talking about all kinds of holidays. The box art of Thanksgiving, at least the first one, because I haven't seen the quote unquote third one because there is no second one. But the box art on the first one says boobs in the very first frame. It says it right on the box. It's like to entice you, like, come on in, you want to see some titties?
That would have won me over. I've been like, okay, because for me, boobs, gore, horrible acting, I'm in.
It has all of that and plenty.
That's like the perfect recipe for me. But I'm like envisioning this groundhog with he has this like little teeth, little chiclets. Yeah. Having them be like super sharp.
Oh yeah, covered in blood and like
yes.
What do you like?
Flesh dripping down.
Yeah, like white foam because he's like foaming at the mouth.
Maybe he got like attacked by something and he's like a rabid groundhog. Then they go to pull him out and like he infects the town.
I'm wondering if what you saw was maybe a clip from Zombievers.
No. Oh,
I'm not saying. I bet you that how is there not a killer groundhog movie? Like it has to be.
I'm pissed that I didn't put that on my zombie list.
What, Zombievers?
Yeah.
Zombievers is really fucking fun.
I know, and I'm pissed that I didn't put that on there because
great
I remember
creature effects.
Yes. I love that one. That came out not too long. I mean 2015, 16.
Probably like say 10 years ago. I feel like that and Black Sheep, the one about the monster sheep. I don't know if you saw that one.
I didn't.
If you like Zombievers, Black Sheep, so it's like a Scottish movie, I think. It's the same concept as.
Is it voiced by Mike Myers?
I wish. I am coming to get ya. No, but it's like the sheep, and the sheep are basically zombies, but it's
Yeah,
very similar to Zombievers. And then at the end, like they like mutate into like these like fucking like crazy monsters that like the beavers did. You if you dig Zombievers, I think you'd like Black Sheep.
totally. You know, I love the future creatures, but I'm writing that down. Was it called Black Sheep?
Black Sheep. I'll send you because there's a couple movies with that title. It'll be obvious which one it is, but I'll send you a picture of it.
Because I do love Black Sheep as a comedy
It's
with,
fantastic.
yes. But
Fat guy in a little coat. What is? Wait. Are we on?
so
You
I think we're like staggered, but so I have this as 3 because I had, okay. I'm gonna ruin things, but number 2 is The Wedding Singer.
okay?
Can't Hardly Wait was 4. So my 3, because I'll skip over Wedding Singer because we already divulged into that.
Okay.
But my number 3 is That Thing You Do.
Just to be because I think you brought this up before, and
I
I'm less.
know.
Is this the one with Tom Everett Scott?
Yeah, and Tom Hanks
It was
and
directed by Tom Hanks too, I believe.
yeah, and Liv Tyler. Because when you
Yeah.
said Liv Tyler, I was like, I didn't know if you were gonna say it from this movie, and I'm like, how does he know all my picks? But
I've seen it only, I think, once though. I remember enjoying it, but that was probably 12 years ago when I saw this. So you're gonna have to refresh my memory and tell me why you like it so much.
so this movie was like on constant repeat when I was a kid. I had the VHS tape, but so it's them in the band, and he's Tom Everett Scott is dating Charlize Theron. So she's gorgeous, you know, and um the drummer in the band breaks his arm, and that's, oh my god, Giovanni Ribisi.
Yes, and also Steve Zahn's in it as well.
Yes. And Ethan Embry. Go figure. So the guy breaks his arm, and they ask Guy to be in the band. And um Jimmy is the lead singer, and I forgot who plays him, but he's a real dick, and he's going out with Liv Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
And when they start playing Tom Everett Scott, like, oh my god, what do they call, what's his name? Guy Patterson. He starts doing the tempo faster, and they get a huge break. They become wildly successful. But as the fame gets bigger, Jimmy and I can't think of Liv Tyler's name in it. I'm drawing a blank because they're together. But you see her relationship with Tom Everett Scott, you know, evolve, and it's just like
Faye.
a Faye. Yep, it's a beautiful love story, and it's kind of like dark in some places because fame gets to their head, and you just see like the success of everything, but in the end, they get together, and it's just she has this scene where she tells Jimmy off, and it gets me all choked up in the throat because she's like,
It's getting you choked up talking about it.
she's so upset. Like, she was so supportive and she was there, and it's like, I've been in a relationship where you put your all in and you just get shit on. You know what I mean? And you feel that. And she was just telling him, like, I've cried so many tears for you, and I've wasted so many kisses on you. And like, she's just telling him, and everyone's kind of just sitting there, and she leaves, and then her and Guy get together because he says how great she is.
And doesn't this take place like in the 40s or something, or 50s?
I think it's the 50s.
Yeah.
Because they talk about like the Beatles, and they have like these other bands, and I just remember it's fake, but the music in it is amazing.
Yeah, they're the wonder years. What are they?
The Wonders, but they try to do it like the Beatles, so they did ONE. So Steve Zahn would always be like the Oneaters, because they'd call him the Oneaters, and he would make these stupid fucking jokes. And I love Steve Zahn.
Oh, absolutely. Let's do Zahn.
And he's playing cards with these old guys, and he's like talking. He's like, "Want to see my cards?" And he flips it quick. He's like, "You gotta be quick. You gotta be quick with me." It's so ridiculous. But watching like the whole scene, I don't know. It's just such a good movie.
It's one I because you brought it up a few times on the show. I would like to watch it again. I mean, it's Tom Hanks. I love Tom Hanks. It's got a cast that I like a lot. Steve
Yeah.
Zahn, Tom Everett Scott. I don't. Was was he
Dead Man on
small?
Camp.
Was he Superman?
Was he? I don't remember. On a show, right?
Was he Superman on that TV show Smallville?
I think so. You gotta look that up. But
Uh,
do you remember Dead Man on Campus?
I do.
He was in
No, that
that.
was Tom Welling. Never mind. I th-
Uh,
was he the one in the sequel the sequel to
American
American
Werewolf.
Werewolf?
Yeah, he was the one in Paris with the horrible CGI.
Uh, I will. I want to rewatch that again as well
Yes.
because
But like Dead Man on Campus is one of my another comedy that I love so much with Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
I forgot he's in that movie. It's been a
Remember?
long time since I've seen that movie.
And it's again a movie that could never be made now because it's about suicide, and I get that, and I understand it's triggering, but they made it so ridiculous and they made it so fucking funny, and I love that goddamn movie.
I mean, that's the same era of movie where where they made that movie where oh god, what was his name? I can't even think of his. He's the kid from The Outsiders, and
The dude
and he does blackface to get into college because whatever the fuck it was called. You know what I'm talking about, right? This
is it
sound
the dude from the Night of the Roxbury?
it's C. Thomas Howell is his name, and all right,
Oh,
C. Thomas Howell blackface. I just I can't believe I'm typing this in. Oh,
you're gonna get
it's called Soul Man. This is a real movie that exists, and he's trying to get into college, and because of the whatever that I can't think of the term for it, where they have to take whatever where they have to take so many minorities or whatever. I don't know.
yeah.
He paints his fucking face black and pretends to be black and basically spends the whole movie just being stereotypical as fuck. And it's
Oh my god.
I'm not saying it's good, but it's bizarre that it even exists.
It's one of those movies where you're like, how did that get made?
Yeah,
It would never be made again.
oh god, I just want to show you a still of it. This is him with the
Yes. Oh my god.
uh, it's crazy that this exists.
I know. That's insane. That's so funny. But I think too, now that we're talking about this, I think also it's tangents, but I think it's like 7 degrees of separation because I always feel like we talk about stuff and it connects. I think the dude from The Wedding Singer, the boyfriend, I
Mhm.
think he's the goth guy in Dead Man on Campus that sings about his sperm.
Is he really?
I think he
Oh,
is because remember he had like the black hair and he does the show tunes in the bathroom because he's a fake.
yeah, that probably would have been around the time, right?
I gotta look it up.
Yeah. Okay, you do that because I'm not sure what even to look for because I haven't seen Dead Man on Campus in forever.
I remember being like, I forgot how old I was when that came out, but I was like maybe like early teens. But when he was like, "My words are my sperm," I'm like, oh, he's thinking about his fucking sperm. So, and my grandma's in the other room. I'm like, ah, don't listen. Dead Man on Campus. But what were you? Oh, Tom Everett. Tom Everett Scott was the star of this, right?
Oh, I was just trying to figure out because I don't really. It's like I know the name, but like the things I know him from are not. Like I said, I know him from the sequel to American Werewolf in London. He was on a TV show. He was on the first season of the Sci-Fi Channel Z Nation that I actually liked. It was like a
Yeah.
fun version of Walking Dead instead of just being fucking depressing the whole time. Uh,
Mhm.
and that's about it. But no, I think I'm gonna have to give it a try because I remember enjoying it as a teenager, but it has been I've seen it once and it was a long time ago. But it's a band movie, and I like band movies, so I'd have to imagine I'm probably going to enjoy it. Plus, it's Tom Hanks, and it's just I can never get enough Tom Hanks.
It's just so like believable because like you actually think that they were a band, and
Like you
it's
feel like they're real.
yeah, and it's like as much of a love story of like guy's passion and love for music and like why he's doing it, and you see his love story unfold not only Faye but an artist that he looks up to, and you see like that moment happen, and like the demise of love and how it can just seem so real to someone and it's not very important to someone else.
Yep.
And I just love like him, like he'll say stuff throughout the movie and just he appreciates her, and I love that. But Jason Segel too, he was in Dead Man on Campus, and he was the angry Christian boy,
That
and
had
he
to
had
be one of his first roles. It had to be.
because he had like the mushroom cut split down the middle.
Yeah, I remember that. It had to be around the time he was like in SLC Punk because he had the same fucking haircut then too. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And one of my girl crushes, Linda Cardinelli,
Oh, yeah.
she was in it too, and I think she is just so like I love her.
I
Total
love
girl crush.
as well. Super beautiful, super funny.
Yes.
The real Velma live action. I don't give a shit on anything else. And
Only
then
Velma.
yeah, and then I love her, and I keep coming back, but I love her in Grandma's Boy when she sings "Push It" drunk as fuck. I laugh my ass off every time.
Yes. And
I
Freaks and
fucking
Geeks.
love this girl.
I know, and it's like she's perfect. Like she's just I love it.
I think that's gonna bring me to my number one pick, if I'm correct.
Yes, yes it is.
All right, my number one pick shouldn't be too much of a surprise because I brought it up on the show before. You've mentioned it in passing earlier in this episode, but Say Anything is my favorite romance story. Not so much of a comedy, but my favorite rom com is absolutely 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
I love literally everything about the movie. I loved the movie so much in high school that when I found out it was that the entire premise of the book is based on Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, I
Yeah.
read the fucking Shakespeare book. Like, and trust me, I was not happy about it because I was like, this is not funny. This is nothing like this fucking movie. I love this movie. I think Julia Stiles is just adorable in it, and she's so like, and I always kind of go more for the alt goth weirdo hippie, you know, just the outsider, you know. And so I like that. The sister, who I don't remember. All I remember her from is that she played Tommy's love interest in Third Rock from the Sun, which is funny because it's the same fucking duo in the movie here, because Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is one of my favorite actors to this day,
I love him.
They're great in it. He's so good. The nerd, his nerdy friend who rides the motorcycle.
I love him. And he was in like all like Harold and Kumar and oh my god.
David Krumholtz.
Yes.
He had his own TV show for a while called Numbers.
Do I remember that? I don't think
It was like a serial killer show, but like he like solved crimes with math. It wasn't like, it was trying to be CSI, but not as good. But he's so funny in it. Like I always remember, and like it's this little like when he drives the motorcycle down the hill and he's just screaming, "My balls, my balls!"
At the end, he's like, "I'm good."
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Heath Ledger is such a fucking hunk in this movie. Like, I am okay to say that.
Yeah, totally.
Who doesn't get like emotion, like heart flutters when he sings the "You'd be like heaven to touch"?
Yes, that whole scene, because you wanted that to happen, or you wanted to be as cool as him to do it.
Yeah, and then I always love like the parody of it in fucking Not Another Teen Movie where they're like, sing a song with their name in it, and he's like, Janie's got a gun. Janie's got a gun.
Yes.
And then I'll be honest, I am not ashamed to admit this. I choke the fuck up at the end when she reads the 10 Things I Hate About You list and she bawls her eyes out. Yeah. Oh, it gets me. Oh, and then the dickhead is such a good dickhead in this movie too.
Andrew Keegan.
Yep.
Yes, because
he's great in it.
He is, but he's such a dick. And the dad, he's amazing.
The dad, I that's an actor I see all like, you know, a lot in that era, but he's a guy I never knew, but I'm like, never know his name, but he's in a bunch of shit.
Yeah. But he's like the perfect dad. And I love the moment where he like him and her connect. And it's like he gets her. You know what I mean? Like it's not just he's overly protective and favors the young one. Like he when they have that moment on the porch, I get choked up with that part too.
Oh, and he's so funny because he's so overprotective and weird.
Yeah, because he's the OB doctor, so he sees it all the time.
It's just obsessed with them having sex, basically. It's so funny and it is sweet. Has great music.
Yep.
It's just it's a 10 out of 10 rom-com for me, and I wouldn't change a single thing about it. Like from beginning to end, it's fucking great.
It's literally like perfection, like Gabrielle Union in it.
Yep.
The whole like I idolized Julia Stiles for being such a badass, for not taking shit from anyone, smashing the dude's car. Remember when he pulled up and
Yep.
she just fucking backed into it? She's like, whatever. And then she gets drunk at the party and dances to Biggie,
Yep.
like, and looked so goddamn good doing it. I'm like, I wish I was that cool. Like, I wish I could do something as cool as what she's doing.
Oh, and then like I love like even like this because the main story is obviously the fake relationship that is clearly like he likes her from the beginning, but
Yeah.
I love that like I feel like a shittier. Now, granted, I don't know, I don't remember because it's been a long time since I read the fucking book, but
Yeah.
like a shittier writer for this would have written like, oh, Heath Ledger, the big hunk, is the one who beats up Andrew Keegan. No, it's the fucking little nerd who beats him up, and I'm like, yes, little nerds.
Like justice for us.
Yes.
And I love Jonathan, or yes, what is his name?
Which one?
Not Jonathan. Joseph Levitt
Gordon-Levitt.
Gordon.
Yeah.
Yes. I just totally dyslexic his whole name, but
Yeah,
him.
he's great. It's just I Third Rock from the Sun's is just a phenomenal show, and I can't. I'm just like, no, that's Tommy, and that's Tommy's girlfriend. They're just in another universe here. Like,
That's such an amazing show. When that came out, we watched that religiously.
yeah.
What was the guy's name that was always with his eyes?
Oh well, that's French Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
but it was that was Harry.
Yes. And then what's his John Lithgow?
John Lithgow played is Tom, Dick, and Harry, and then Sally. But yeah, it was John Lithgow, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, French Stewart, and I'm spacing on Sally's name, which is gonna bother me, but whatever.
She's the one from Austin Powers.
Yes,
Ivana Humpalot.
Ivana Humpalot. Yeah.
See, I love how we're like connecting all these people into like our previous conversations.
So that is my number one pick. I could gush about it all damn day long. Just love it. And I will reiterate that it is great. And I think David Krumholtz should be in more shit because he is super funny.
He's hilarious. I loved him and Finch in Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
Like they're little throughout the whole movie.
There was supposed to be a spin-off. It was supposed to, I can't remember their characters' names, but it was like, because I think they're supposed to be super, like, they're supposed to be like super stereotypically Jewish guys. It was supposed to be like whatever their names were, because they talk about going to hot dog heaven, some restaurants. So they proposed a movie where it was going to be like happening concurrently. Those two go to hot dog heaven. And I'm like, yes, I want that movie.
I would so watch that because I was such a Harold and Kumar freak when that came out. That was like one of my all-time, I mean, it still is one of my all-time favorite comedies, but those two, I fucking love them together. When they're smoking and talking about Katie Holmes's tits.
Yeah. That rack better be stacked, dude. They're great together.
I love it.
This is the most fucking confusing movie I've ever seen.
I'm pissed that they didn't get a spinoff because I totally would have watched that.
I would have absolutely watched it, but I love the Harold and Kumar movies.
Yes, so do
I. What is your number one favorite rom-com?
So mine is pretty obvious too, and we've talked about it in the past. And I wanted to. I didn't want to include movies we talked about, but I feel like I'd be lying putting other ones in. Like I was going to put Orange County.
That's a good one.
Because we're just talking about John Lithgow. But so I picked Clueless.
I'm glad you did.
I think that is such a everything about it aesthetically, like where I was at the time, and like just Alicia Silverstone was perfection. Her outfits, like I never was like super, super girly, but when I saw this movie, I was like, I want to wear all of her clothes. I want that life. Like I just idolized her. I know that sounds stupid to say, but I just loved her portrayal of Cher.
I think you're underplaying it. I think
Yeah.
Clueless was such a defining movie for that half of the decade.
Yeah.
And I particularly will think this because of just how I see other people speak about it. I think it was particularly defining for women, young girls to watch because it was
Yes.
really more of it was a movie from the girl's perspective, a
Yes.
very much so. While I feel like, 10 Things I Hate About You is large. I feel like it's from the boys' perspective of like, hey, they're the ones pulling the scheme and all the other shit. I think Clueless, I enjoy it a lot, but
Yeah.
I know there is a lot of girls and women who adore that movie. And I think it's because it's really from their perspective. That's what I personally see it as.
And it totally is that because you see like the popular girls and their outlook on things, even though she has a good heart, she's still classified as this snobby, what she's supposed to be. Then you have Ty come in, and I love Brittany Murphy, and I felt like I related to her more because I was like corduroys, striped shirt, dyed the hair like, red, was into, like skateboarders and that type of stuff. And then having them find the common ground and just being friend. Like, I don't know. It's just it's such a beautiful movie about being true to who you are. I love her and Paul Rudd, like them as a couple. I fucking love it so much. And
Paul Rudd's fantastic in the movie.
he is. And I love when she realizes that she loves Josh and like the fountain comes on and like the montage and she's like, I'm but crazy in love with Josh. And then she's all awkward in front of him. And then they have the scene on the staircase. And I just love it.
Donald Faison also in that movie as well.
He's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like him and D.
I remember when you brought him up earlier, I was like, I forgot he was in which fucking movie was he in? The other one was it Can't Hardly Wait, right? Yeah, because he's in the band.
Yeah.
I completely forgot he was in that movie because like when I think Donald Faison, I think Scrubs because I do love the show. But I'm like,
me too.
It goes like this. It goes Scrubs, Clueless because I remember him just thinking he was so funny in Clueless because he's such a dumbass. And then weirdly, this dumb fucking movie called Skyfall, I think it is. I don't fucking know. It was a terrible movie. Anyway,
wait, who was in that?
I think it was Andrew Keegan. Actually, now that I think about it, no, it was Eric Balfour. Eric Balfour and him are like movie stars, and like there's like an alien invasion, and it's like the whole movie takes place in an apartment, and they're like hiding in an apartment. I don't know. It was. I wanted it to be so good, and I remember I took a date to see it, and I just remember being like, "This is not going to go well because this fucking movie sucks."
This is the worst movie. He's in another one. Okay, so when you just brought that up, I think this is it. Hang on. Yes. Okay. So 2000, and this is an unknown movie, but this was 2019. It's called The Wave, and it's him and Justin Long, and it's like a sci-fi thriller. It's labeled as in here.
I think I've heard of this.
We watched it because I don't know how we caught wind of the trailer, but we watched it and it looks so good. And he gets mixed up. It was kind of like a Go set type movie mixed in with something crazy because whatever Justin Long's in, it's going to be obscure. And there's going to be like murder and there's going to be weird shit going on. But he was in it, and those two together were perfect. And it's such an underrated movie. So
I would give it a shot. The Wave.
Yes, and it was 2019.
The Wave, 2019. Justin Long.
He takes hallucinogenic drugs. Justin Long does, and it's like this. It's so beautiful, like the cinematography and the colors and how it's shot.
I feel like is Chloe Grace Moretz in that too? Because I'm actually quite a big fan of hers. I've been a fan of hers since like Hit Girl and Kick Ass, and then I actually really liked the Carrie remake. I don't care what anyone says. I thought the Carrie remake was pretty good.
I thought it was decent. I thought it was good too.
I liked that it like the first half was a remake, and then the second half was like just you see more of what goes on, and I was like, all right, I'm down for this
because that's what you want. that's what you wanted to see in Carrie. Like you saw the whole bullying aspect, and that was majority of the movie. And then like the last, what, 20 minutes was her going crazy.
Yeah, you saw her go crazy at the gym, and then you don't really see afterwards. This shows her like, all right, what happened after the gym, and she fucks that town up, and I'm like,
E-
that's what I want to see.
Exactly. And that's the way to do a remake.
And that's exactly how I think that the 20 whatever, the last Friday the 13th movie, I know some people like it, some people don't. I think it's pretty good, and the reason I think it's great is that it's both a remake and a sequel. The first 30 minutes of it are a remake, and then it's like completely new movie, and I'm like, I'm down for that. Like that's awesome. Like
And on top of that, you're so right. On top of that, you get the mom backstory. You get to see him in every aspect of his mask. You get to see the sack. You get to see where he gets his mask, and then you see this new part. And I don't care, like you said, I don't care what anyone says. I think that's one of the best remakes.
I enjoy it. It's not. It's.
Better remakes.
It wouldn't be in my top like 3 or anything, but
No,
I do
top
enjoy
10.
it. Yeah, top 10 for sure. I
Yep.
do enjoy it a lot. Um, and I'm so fucking happy because the rights to that franchise just bum me out. Bums all every fan of that franchise has not been happy for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't give a flying fuck about this TV series that they're doing. I don't want to see, oh, we're going to learn about Michael and his bitch. You're going to change the story. You're going to fuck it up. I don't care. I'm so happy to it that they announced that the other guy, whichever one the other one is, it's hard to keep track, is doing a movie. And I'm like,
Sean
yes.
Sean Cunningham.
Yes, one of them's doing a
Yes.
movie and one of them's doing the TV show. Well, the TV show can go fuck itself. The movie is what I want.
If anyone were to do the movie, I'd want Sean Cunningham to do that
Yes.
because he is going to do that movie justice. Like that's what I want to see is the OG taking on the OG, but bringing it into a new perspective.
It could even if it's the worst Friday the 13th of all time, I will be like, at least I'm getting one. Like
Yes.
this franchise, every other franchise gets a million fucking movies, but for some reason, because you guys can't fucking stop measuring each other's dicks, we can,
Which is seven painters.
yeah, like we can't fucking. You're depriving us of this franchise that we love, and you're also depriving yourself of money, you money hungry motherfucker. Anyway, whatever. I do
That's
prefer
all it
Sean
is.
Cunningham though.
But that's why, and I'm going to add this and I will transition back because it will lead into Clueless, is the only way that I will ever watch another Halloween movie or be into one is if John Carpenter comes back in and has some sort of like higher directive or just doing it over again. That's the only way I would do it. And I don't care what anyone says about Paul Rudd in 6. I like him in 6. I like him in The Curse.
I like Paul. Well, you know my thoughts on that franchise as a whole. I think it's very.
Yes, it's very hit or miss, but I don't think The Curse is as bad as Ends. I don't think it's as. I would rather watch The Curse over Ends, Kills, Ends and Kills, and
Right there with your sister.
I might even argue 18 because I like 18. I really do think 18 was good, but I think that it still has that like connection to the older Halloween feel. And I love Paul Rudd in it. And people are like, he was so horrible in it. I'm like, why? Like, I don't think he was that bad.
I don't think Paul Rudd was the problem with that movie. The whole. But and I'm with you. I would rather watch it than Kills or Ends.
Yep.
I do think it's a bad movie, but I don't think it's Paul Rudd's fault. It's not like, oh, he did anything bad. It's just, I think it's writing and whatever. But I will
Yep.
in 2018, I don't know. I do enjoy it. I
Yeah.
don't know how my next viewing of it's going to be because the problem is if they had made 2018 and that was it, fucking one of the best of the entire franchise, I think. But because I know the 2 shitty movies that followed it, I don't know if I'll be able to, because now I'm going to watch it and I'm like, oh, yeah, she finally got him, except he escapes 40 seconds later.
And you know exactly what transpires afterwards. So it kind of already tarnishes how good it was. And I'm with you. If they would have stopped and just did a Halloween remake or reboot or whatever you want to call it and just stopped it, I think David Gordon Green should have been praised. And I think that would have been like you earned your card. But what he did afterwards, like it's revoked, never back on the premises. And if you come back, I'm going to shoot you.
Yep. And he's about to do it again to The Exorcist.
Ugh. But like, I would have rather seen Paul Rudd come back as Tommy than Anthony Michael Hall. If it was permitting, I think that he would have been able to have more depth as Tommy with his acting progressing as it has and him getting older, I think he would have done a lot better than Anthony Michael Hall.
I would as well, but then they would have had to have, because that's not the route they went for storytelling. You know, they ignored all
All
of
that.
no brother, sister, no, you know. But you
Yes.
look, but I will say this, depending on if it's Ant-Man 3 that apparently is not very good, or if it's Halloween 6, or if
Yep.
it's your favorite rom-com, Clueless, he looks the exact goddamn same.
He does. And he's so like, I don't know, like that's that guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good guy. And I love like the whole the husband or her dad and the mom didn't work out, but you don't divorce the kids, and he's has that relationship with him. I just love everything about that movie. Amy Heckerling literally made cinematic perfection when she made Clueless. I just love it so much.
It is. I mean, it is one of the defining 90s movies, and I mean that as, even though like I don't relate to it as much because I think it is from the girl's perspective.
Yeah.
It's undeniable. I mean, that is just like that defined. I think what was that,
95.
95? Yeah, I was like 95, 96. I mean, I don't think I mean, name a movie that defines that time period better than that movie does. I can't.
For a general consensus, that movie, but Scream for the horror.
Yeah, Scream for horror, yeah.
But
But just for like the general like umbrella, I would say that it's Clueless.
yes, and like also too, because it's like like you said, like appealing to women. You have Scream come out, and you have such strong dominant roles like Nev, Rose McGowan, Drew
I
Barrymore, and just the opening like
I
the
mean,
opening.
the only strong characters in that movie are the women.
Yeah,
The
and
men suck in that movie.
honestly, and it's like I feel like that was like the time where I felt so like inspired and like just happy to be a female. Not saying that I ever was like, oh, I hate being female, but like when I was younger, I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, look at these awesome, badass women. And this is
Yeah,
what I aspire to be,
and that's what it should be.
But
Uh,
yes,
oh no, what were you gonna say?
this was a fun episode. I had a lot of fun talking
Yeah.
about these movies. I want to go watch a rom com now because I don't have to work tomorrow. So I might go put on 10 Things I Hate About You.
Hey, that's fine. I was thinking about going to see if I could find Just Friends. So,
Yeah. So cheers to that.
all right. Well, thank you for checking in with us today, guys. Like, rate, subscribe, share to your
Yes.
friends, share to your pages, and yeah, we will see you next week.
Yes. Everyone take care, drink your water, and don't spoil Scream.
Yes.
All
Bye.
right. Good night.